I curse
It's
a lot.
my channel. Yeah.
I curse a lot. Are you okay with that?
Cool.
Okay, because I can edit myself too if you'd like.
No, we
Hell
are
yeah.
all good.
I cuss a lot too.
We all
I
are.
went to a Catholic high school. You learn to edit yourself and bleep yourself out really fucking fast.
Okay, love the cursey words.
All right, cool.
We're live.
Right.
Hello, everyone. I need to make sure I'm looking at comments now because I was looking
Yeah.
at the results. Okay.
That's a good job.
So I am so excited to be here with these lovely co-hosts. If you don't know me, if this is your first time on my channel, I'm Rachel from Rachel Reads and Sings. Welcome or welcome back to my channel. So I think we're just going to go around. I'm going to have everyone introduce themselves. Maybe just tell us if this is your first time reading it or how many times you've reread it, and maybe just give like very basic general thoughts, and then we will go on from there. So Jackie, why don't you go first?
Hey everybody, I'm Jackie, also known as First Lady Reads. And this is my first time reading Sarah J. Maas, and I am a newbie on BookTube. So if you've not seen me before, I'm a newbie, and I am freaking loving this. Sarah's like my new favorite author. Like I can't, bow down. She is bae. Okay, bow down. Thank you. She's fantastic, and she creates characters that I'm just like, I love you so much. Yes.
Love it.
I have dipped into the fan fiction, and dear God.
All right, come on, fan fiction.
Yes.
That's a wormhole. That's me.
Melissa, why don't you go?
Hi, I'm Melissa from Book Bar, and this is my first time reading the Throne of Glass series. So this was my first time reading this book, and this has been my favorite from this series so far. I really enjoyed this one. Like, I think that this was 5 stars. So, I mean, I don't really do the stars, but this one's the best.
I was like, I don't even bother rating anymore because they're all just like,
yeah. That's a good one.
The badassery was like, so I love this one.
All right, Taji.
Hi, I'm Taji from Taji's World of Books, and this is not my first time reading it. This is my second time reading it through, and I absolutely love it. I love it more the first time around. And as I'm reading it this time, I'm like, oh my God, this is why I love this so much. You know, and Sarah, for me, does a great job at writing really strong female characters, and her arcs are awesome. I love characters that start off really broken, and then as you go through the series with them, you see them grow and develop and learn and become even stronger and more powerful. And so Sarah does that really well. So I'm here for every ounce of it.
Yay. All right, Joe.
Hi, my name is Joe from Not So Average Joe. This is my second time going around reading this series. I absolutely loved Sarah J. Maas. She is an absolute babe. And Queen of Shadows is probably my second favorite in the series. I really love all of the things that happen and all of the character development that we get to experience with our little friends and the little pages. So yeah, I absolutely love it.
And Jenn.
I mean, y'all probably there. But yeah, I'm Jen. This is only my second time reading the Throne of Glass series. I freaking love it. I love it so much. I'm so excited to talk about everything that's in this. And I am a fangirl for Caltaine today, so I'm her name for this one.
She was a bad bitch in this one. She was awesome.
Yes, I love it. I love it so much. So also, I have to say, I'm just so excited that Joe's here with us because I've been friends with Joe for like 2.5 years, and she's finally like on BookTube doing shit and reading romance. So
yes, ma'am. Thanks to Jen.
Anyway,
well, and it's exciting because I'm like meeting some of you guys for the first time on this. So this is really exciting. But so this is my first time rereading this series. And I definitely loved it the second go around. I'll actually put this banner up because like we're already getting into this.
Yeah.
But I did love it this go around, but I feel like nothing is ever going to compare to the first time that I read this book.
Yeah.
So with that being said, we can delve a bit more into like general thoughts, and I'm cool with just going straight into some spoilery thoughts as well about maybe let's have first time readers talk about it first, and then we can talk about like the rereading experience, maybe like the setup, things like that.
You want to go
Jackie,
first?
it's your time to shine. It's your time to shine, Jackie.
Okay. Well, you don't want to give me the mic first because I like to freaking talk. So, let's do that. Okay. I got my drink. Let's start some books. All right.
I'll corral people if you need it, but you're good. You go.
Okay, cool. All right. So this one actually was my second 5-star in the series. Crown of Midnight was my first 5-star. And this one just knocked my socks off. I couldn't put it down. When I finished it, my husband came home, and apparently I was relayed the story because I don't remember the story. I was so engrossed in it. He came over to give me a kiss, and I was just like, I didn't respond to him, nothing. I used to put my book down and say, hey, babe, how's it going? He's like, I got nothing. And then 2 hours later, when I finished the book, I was very, very sexually frustrated. I was just like, the fuck did you just do to me? Oh my God, no.
It's why I hate slow burn. Sarah J. Maas is fully the reason why I hate slow burn.
Oh, this thing was so hot and so steamy, and it was all there. And the action, that ending scene, and Lysandra doing her, just so many, just massive, massive moments in this book. I fucking love this thing. I cannot. It's pretty. It's amazing.
Mm-hmm.
It's my fave.
Yeah.
That's my first general thoughts on this book.
Yeah, I loved it. I loved seeing all of what Aelin did, like all of her like moves, like with everyone, with Arobian, or however you say his name.
Arabin.
Yeah.
Arabin. And
I can't pronounce the names either, so.
Like the witches, that was mind-blowing what was going on. And then Caltaine just coming in there like, screw you all.
She is such a bad bitch.
Take this. Here you go. Peace out. And then obviously Aelin returning home.
Yeah. So good.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
And Dorian. Oh, I love Dorian
Yeah.
so much.
Oh, Dorian. I got my questions on Dorian. I had some questions, and she answered them in so awesome ways.
Yeah.
I love the end scene with them. It's just,
Yeah.
So what about for rereaders? Was this all our first time rereading it?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think so.
Yeah.
Okay, it was my first time rereading it as well.
I feel like this series is a lot harder to just reread than ACOTAR is. I don't know. I feel like with that, you can kind of jump into whichever book is your favorite and like you can make it work.
Yeah.
With this, like I said, y'all who are watching, I have the wiki open up on my laptop because I know I'm going to need it. There's so many character names. There's so many places. There's so many like things in this one that listening to the audiobook, I wish that I'd done audiobook and book together for the whole book. It just wasn't going to work to do that because there's just so much going on. But yeah, the second time around, I was surprised. I didn't realize some of the connections that were happening like so early on, like, because I feel like there are things that happen later than this. But I mean, I guess this literally is like the mid-series book kind of. So
yeah,
I forgot where we meet a lead. So it was great meeting her. I forgot how much I hated Lorcan when I first see him. I know we're not spoiling further, but there's still like one couple that like hasn't met yet at all, and I'm excited for that couple to meet. And I was like, oh God,
Yeah.
it's so true that Sarah is the epitome of every like male type that I have. She has every single one in this book. Like
that's so true.
Every single one. Definitely. She has like the villain. She has the tough guy. There's like a bodyguard type. There's a stoic like truth seeker type. There's a tortured prince. Like she literally has all of them.
Mm-hmm.
I never thought about that, but yeah, you're 100% on the nose with that one. That's
yeah. And there's
that's like legit.
Anyway.
And what you were saying, Jen, about like listening to the audiobook. So like the first time that I read the series, I only read them physically. This time I have been listening to the audiobooks while reading the physical books at the same time. That's primarily how I read nowadays anyway. And like for this series in particular, I do feel like with ACOTAR, I could probably just listen to the audiobooks and be just fine. But with this series, I need to be looking at the words. I need to be able to like underline things and like think. I'll stop the audiobook and I'll be like, wait. Let me reason through this. Let me think through this. Like, you know, for sure. And I also noticed more this time around, and we're about to get into this because we're basically going to be talking about the order of events.
Yeah. This time.
But I noticed this time around in particular, the first 200 pages for me were a bit of a chore to get through. And I feel like then the pacing really picked up.
Until
like,
Daddy comes back. You know, until Daddy's
yes, ma'am.
We know
real.
And
I'm just like waiting. I'm like, come on.
Yeah. Not gonna lie, I didn't know if Rowan was gonna come back. I was really hoping he did, and when he did,
I feel like Laura thought it was a better idea to separate them, and then like partway, and she's like, "I gotta bring him back." Like I don't know why I took him away.
That's one thing.
Go ahead.
Oh, sorry.
While I was reading, I was like, "Where's Rowan? Where's Rowan?"
That's one thing that I hate.
Okay. Good. I'm happy now.
Yeah, when we were talking about like reading, like I did similar to what you just said. The first time around, I just listened to the audiobook, and I think I was so shocked at things that were happening that I wasn't like picking up on nuances, where this time around, I have the audiobook and the physical book, and for the first time, I don't annotate books, but this time around I was annotating and like super proud of myself with all my like little tabs and annotations that I did, because I needed to do that. And I also pulled out maps from like, you know, different places, kind of check to see how this is in relation, and thinking about my own theories. And now because I wasn't shocked, I was able to analyze the motivation behind the characters. What was going on when Aelin, like, that's what she was doing when she took off in the middle of the night. And Rowan, like, you know, was like, where was she? And she came back smelling like soot and smoke. And then when Arabin did the whole thing with the ring, I was like, now I'm not shocked. And now I'm analyzing her, like, thinking and why she does what she does, and not so frustrated with her being obstinate about things, that there's a method to her madness, if you will, you know?
Right, absolutely. The first time that I read this, I was just so like shocked by the things happening, you know, and that's why that experience will always be so special to me. But this time around, I could really take a step back and think about what was happening and analyze it more. For sure, absolutely.
What do some of the viewers think about, or other people think about this one? Let's see.
Yeah, a lot of people just said that they like really loved it. This last comment, Aelin this time, you know, making big moves. Absolutely.
I have a comment about this, which is why I'm also wanting us to pull this one up, because I remember like the first time through this series, and also when I used to watch reviews of people reading this for the first time, people would get really annoyed with her like being not being magical. She is magical, but just like her having a plan all the time and never telling anyone what it is. And that like did slightly bother me the first time around, but this time around I'm really seeing that like it, especially because like in the first book she didn't plan anything. She was so like incompetent in a lot of ways, and it's very like annoying to people who are like, she's supposed to be the best. I personally feel this time around when I'm reading it, I more feel like that she just wasn't trying that hard in the first couple books, because she doesn't really care about anything. And in books like up until a certain point in Heir of Fire, when she is like waking up and being like, okay, I have to do this, then I think we really see her click in, and she's like, I am the queen and I don't want this burden, but like I owe it to more people than me. And this time around, like, it makes me look back on those first few books where she is more like incompetent and not really having like earned this reputation she has. I feel like she does, but she just wasn't trying before because she didn't give a fuck. And now there are people on the line. She's building her court. She has people she loves. She's going to up her game. So now when she's planning these things, and I mean, granted, still not telling people, she should tell some people, but it's her doing what she has to do and not going to ask anybody for permission. She's going to do it to make it happen. So
And I feel like that's why her experiences with Rowan in Heir of Fire, when they were in Wendelin, and the training and all that, we like, and at first when I was reading, I was like, why do we have to go through 200, 300 pages of like them fighting and battling? But that was him helping her discover herself and to find a greater purpose and to stop feeling sorry for herself and circumstances. Not that she was really feeling sorry for herself, but she was like, had a chip on her shoulder. And he's like, get that gone and let's start to focus on what needs to be done. And so we can move forward and do that. And I think that's why she has such respect for him, because he's the only character that could have done that and helped her get there. Dorian couldn't do that. Chaos certainly couldn't. It had to be someone that was as strong and powerful, and if not a little bit more powerful than her, to help her get to that level.
Right. And now she has the tools.
Oh, goodness gracious.
Sorry.
Every time I hop in, I'm hopping in on top of somebody else.
No, it's okay. It's okay. I was going to say, and now she has the tools to be the Queen of Terrasen. So go on with what you were going to say, Joe.
What I was going to say is I was going to go back to what Jenn was talking about how she doesn't really tell anybody her plans. And I feel like, especially with her background that we've gotten to see so far in the series, I feel like now that she has people that she genuinely cares about, she doesn't want to put them in danger by telling them perhaps about her plans, so that if her plan doesn't work and something happens, then it will fall on her shoulders and not on everyone else, which I think is super admirable, because I remember the first time I read this series, I absolutely hated that she did not tell people. I couldn't understand. But now, because I read it so fast the first time I read it, but now that I'm taking a second to just ruminate on her character, I feel like she just cares very deeply about people, and she doesn't want anyone around her to fall prey to her plans.
Yeah, and I also think before, she didn't have anybody she could trust. As people are reading the novellas, which I'll admit I'm more like finding synopses for them. I'm sorry, as the creator of it. I put the novellas in there if people want to read them, but I'm not necessarily following it. But the people she trusted before, like that person died. We know that person's dead. And she barely even trusted him back then either. Because Arobin, he didn't want any of his assassins to trust each other more than they would him, because then they could be against him, And he kept the girls at each other's throats. He kept them thinking shit about each other so that they would be willing to stab them in the back if he needed it to happen. She was very much manipulated by that. And as a woman or a girl who just lost her family, she did that. So now it's like she's building a court that she loves, but she also trusts them to do what they will do. So that's how she's able to make her plans happen. She knows that these people are going to do the things, and then it'll be like, hey, look, we did it.
I did want to briefly bring up the novella, by the way, because I think that was like the perfect novella to read before Queen of Shadows, because you really get introduced to who Arobin is. You really get introduced to the whole Lysandra situation as well. And we get to see more of Selena and Sam start to fall for each other. So
I actually
was the perfect
read it after, and I wish I would have read it before, because I feel like the inner scenes where she was talking about Sam and building herself up and telling the backstories would have been so much better if I had had that ahead of time. So I completely agree with you on that.
I mean, I like how that worked out, because
there really is a clear difference between Selena and Aelin.
Yes.
Like once she was like, all right, I'm bringing Selena back for this one thing, but then she's gone forever. Like I felt like that really changed her.
It's almost like she puts on a complete persona. And everyone around her just immediately notices the difference. Like, that is Selena Sardathian, the Arobin's assassin, that is who that is. And it's not the person we have come to know and love, It's almost like she just completely, she adds that swagger.
I mean, that's why I'm able to reread the first two and just be like, I don't have to like her. She doesn't like her. Nobody likes her. Nobody's supposed to like her. There's nothing really about that person that's too admirable. It's when she's gonna become what she's gonna be. But all right, have we talked enough about the reading experience? We better get into
I want to start getting into events. So I'm going in I added a couple events to what Jenn gave me.
Yep.
So
I was just skimming it. So
let's talk about My girl Lysandra.
Yes, ma'am.
Yes.
She's a queen.
Yes.
She's so great.
My girl
Delicious.
Lysandra. Like, reading the novella this time broke my heart. I'm like, I hate that you hate each other. I absolutely hate it. Oh my God.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
But it feels good when they like are girl best friends. Like the things that, I mean, obviously we're going to go in order of events now, so I shouldn't, but like who they are to each other at the end of this book is just, I love girls. I love
And it's like, think about how much like bravery it must have taken for Lysandra to just show up on Aelin's doorstep with Evangeline and just tell her, listen, I hate Arabin too. Like, let's work together. Like, girl, I don't like that. Takes some bravery.
Yeah, definitely.
And I love that it was what Celaena or Aelin saw that she did for Evangeline that really was able to solidify and change her opinion. Because once, what I see about Celaena or Aelin is that once she sort of gets her mind made up, she's stubborn, right? And it's really difficult to change that. But once she changed it, she's like, she's your ride or die for sure. And to see where their relationship became and how it evolved and the closeness and the connection that they have between each other, I think is going to be so hard pressed that nobody can break that. That's there for life. It's solidified,
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
She was awesome. I don't want to go out of order of events, but in the beginning, I didn't know because like I said, I read the novella after. So this was my first really hardcore encounter with her. And I did not like her in the beginning, but when the thing happens and I'm just like, bitch, you awesome. You are fantastic. That was an awesome scene. Let me just reread that a few times. That was great.
Also, one of my favorite scenes is, I think it's when Adian and Celaena, they're like talking about the snow leopard and Lysandra's walking with them, and Adian's like, oh, you don't want to know about the snow leopards. They're disgusting, horrible, beastly, aggressive things. And Lysandra's like,
she's taking notes.
Sounds great to me.
Right?
She's like,
yes.
okay, and then at the end when she shows up as a snow leopard, I mean, I had already read the book, but I was like, yes, you go, queen. I just love it. I love it. It just comes full circle.
Yes.
Most terrifying thing. Well, so I would say that it's funny with the reread because I didn't realize that Arobin gets taken out so early in this book.
Yeah.
For some reason, I remember him like being a much bigger like shadow over this book than he was. I don't know why. Maybe it's because the bad shit that he does like carries on almost to the end of this book, like what he sets up to bite them in the ass later on, but like, he's just so frustrating. But what else was he going to be? Like, he's literally the king of the assassins. Like, he makes people twisted and has them kill people for money. Like, what was he going to be like? But
yeah,
I do want to talk about like how the ring like gave him his success, though. That's something that I didn't realize before this time. So, or the key, not the ring. The key is a ring. I don't know what shape it was in for him. But.
Yeah, I did not that did not click in my head the first time that I read this. And when I read that, I was like, what? Like this time around, it did not even click for me.
I know. Yeah, the amulet. He had the amulet.
He did still go ahead. Nope, you go. I talked enough.
What I was going to say is when I was thinking about Arobin and his influence over Celaena, right? Like, and I was thinking she was a kid. She was 14, 15 when he took her. He trained her to be an assassin. And when we were talking earlier about her not telling anybody about her plans, think about how Arobin set all this stuff up behind the scenes and all the moves and counter moves that he made. She mirrors what he does. And we are okay with it because she's doing it for all the right reasons, right? To set slaves free, to do all this other stuff that, to set her people to get back to Terrasen. But in many ways, don't you think that what she does is similar to what Arobin does in terms of how she plans and really puts her battle plans together? You can see that there's a heavy influence there.
Oh, yeah, definitely.
And it's a very complicated relationship between the two of them. Like, anytime she thinks about Arobin in her inner monologue, like, she doesn't quite know how to refer to him. Like, what word could she even say to represent their relationship?
And to your point, like how, like, I guess when I read it this time around, like I was kind of like I was like, he raised her, and they have a that kind of relationship. But then he's like, "Say you love me," and then like adds this like sort of sexual undertone. I was like, "What the fuck?"
He wanted to fuck her so bad. It was so gross. Like,
nasty.
That was like, legit, I am raising you, grooming the whole 9 fucking yards. Like that was a little disturbing at that point. I was like, oh, please don't do this. Don't do this to me.
In the novella, like she says, like father, brother, lover, like I don't know which one he is.
Yeah, absolutely.
Doing to Lysandra, like,
that relationship too.
That's right.
You know,
he's just a grody man.
I guess a little more straightforward because he's literally like paying to. I mean, she is a prostitute, like she is a sex worker in this, but still, it's like so gross.
Yeah, or when he first, like when he sends her, like Aelin the suit, the black suit that she wears, and like, and the first thing he comments on is like, you fill it out or you look different than you did when you were 17 or something, and I was just like, I'm done with you.
It was the perfume for me, the oil. I was like, I kind of vomited a little bit in my mouth on that point. I'm like, I gotta set this down for like 2 minutes because that's gross.
But then I have to say, I love when Rowan was like, you're not going to be the only one wearing that. If you're wearing
I know. I feel like where he's like, oh, do you like this? I mean, he doesn't do this. But in my head, he's like, oh, do you like that smell? Here. Have a little
well, and I mean, we'll get to that later, but the point I wanted to bring up about Arobynn before we get to our next point is we can't deny that he helps them with rescuing Adian.
He does.
Yeah.
This scene, oh my God. One of my favorite scenes in the whole book.
And it's all his planning. It's Arobynn scheming and conniving and counter moves. It's all like, we have to say this. He's a master at that. So I always say that all characters are not all good or all bad. They are like, we obviously Arabynn's disgusting, but clearly, it was to his advantage.
On the alignment chart, he's like neutral evil. Like he'll fuck over any side. Like he's not. He will just as I'm sure he gets a kick out of pulling one over on the king. Like I'm sure that's a big reason wanting to help is it's like I want to be able to take this prince right out from under the king's nose and see if we can do it. And I also think he likes watching Aelin work because he sees her as his puppet that he made. And even the fact that like he's known this whole time that she's like a princess of Terrasen, like he likes seeing her like do what he made her to do. It's like Frankenstein's monster in his eyes. Like he likes seeing that.
Exactly like Frankenstein's monster.
He works with her because he wants to see it happen, but it's like he still wants to have the control of her. And that's kind of the question too. Like, would he have let her kept doing how she wanted to do it if it was like working with him? Because he only decides to, I know we're not there, but he only decides to like stop her free will when she goes away from what he wants. So it's like, anyway. But yeah, rescuing Adian. Someone else can go. Sorry.
Oh, man. Man, what a scene. I live for scenes where, like, people are going undercover. Yeah. And, like, there's, because there's supposed to be this, like, ball and, like, birthday party. And, like, she's just like, I'm a little dancer. Like, and, like, oh, my God. And then as the scene's going on, I'm like, oh, yeah, like, the powder stuff that the dancers were throwing. Yeah. And, like, oh, my God. Like, it's just...
Did not see any of that coming. I was just like, I was prepared for this like to be a big, huge like failure for some reason. I don't know why, but I was like preparing myself. I'm like, okay, this is gonna be a failure. I'm gonna lose him. He's not gonna make it. We're gonna have to go this big death scene, and it didn't happen. And
one of the things that's extremely stressful with Sarah is the bigger and bigger the casts get, the more you're like, are we gonna drop one of these balls that we're juggling now? Like it's hard to know. It's like, what's going to happen? But, and, we have like our first show off with like Dorian inhabited too,
Yes.
Like, she was ready to kill him. And like, oh my God, guys, the scene like where she tells off Chaol for the first time, which I know, like Chaol, we got a lot about him to talk about, but he's like, you weren't even going to try. And she's like, I gave him a minute.
Yeah.
You know what I risked with a minute. And that's why I literally think of like all these balls, like I have all these people wearing on me. And so the love that I have for him and the respect that I have for him, he had a minute. that's all I could get. I was like, oh my God, that is so perfectly said. And also it hurts so bad at the same time. Like, in a way too, like Kale is expressing rage for those of us who do love Dorian. Like, I understand Selena's mind about, or why am I calling her Selena? Oh my gosh, no. Aelin's mind about what's going on. But I do also appreciate Kale's rage in the fact of like, there are those of us, we really love Dorian and we wanted to yell about it. We know what's happening to Dorian and how his soul's being eaten away.
His inner monologues kill me every
like
time.
1 minute.
Every
like 1 minute
time.
changes. Yeah.
I know. I'm just like, because at the first time I read it, I thought he was gone. I thought he was a goner, and I cried every time. When they first met, that scene rescuing Adian is so cinematic. I mean, it's almost as if I can picture the whole damn thing in my head. And every time I think of Aelin. See, Jen, now you got me. You got me now. Aelin, just like in that little group of dancers, and then she goes up onto the place where Adian is like getting ready to be executed. I'm like, yes, it's beautiful. It's such a beautiful scene. Not beautiful in the sense that it's good, because it's a little tragic with, the Dorian situation, but it is so cinematic. I mean, it's amazing.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah, absolutely. And then also with Adian, I want to talk a little bit about like his inner monologues gutted me too before he gets rescued. Oh my God, because he has that wound that's just festering, and he wants to die. He wants that to kill him. And what is he says things like, I just wanted to see my queen for like one last time, and like, but he's like, no, like, I'm ready to die at the same time.
Well, he thinks that he failed and that it's all over now. So sad.
And of course, Aelin is worried that when she sees her cousin for the first time, he's going to find out all of the atrocities that she's committed, all the people that she's killed, and he's not going to want to be a part of her life. And it's just this, when they come together, it's just so beautiful. There's
and
so
then
much love.
Heartbroken again.
I love the fact that Sarah did that with both of them, that she had them both worrying about what the other was going to think, because they had both done horrible, horrible things. And it's just like, man, damn, that is the one family reunion I would want to actually go to. Like, damn.
Yeah.
It's just like, that was intense, because I was so worried, because I was more worried that Aiden was not going to like Selena more than she was not going to like him. For some reason, I just saw it going that way, and it didn't. I was so happy. So happy.
And then also, like you said, like both Adian and Aelin had to become like amazing actors. They had to become these characters and do these horrible things. And like, yeah, like it's crazy how much alike they are in so many different ways.
Yeah. Yeah.
They're like two sides of the same coin.
Absolutely.
And it's fantastic. I loved it.
What's next? Or wait, did someone else think something too? I don't know. We're just like into it.
I know.
Everyone is watching. Everyone agrees it was cinematic.
But yeah, all that stuff with rescuing Adian, just like, so well done. So what I have next is just like, I think we'll just talk about a lot of like the Morath stuff before the big climax. So we kind of just wanted to talk about like everything with like Manon, Alid, the 13. Yeah.
Okay. Leading up to when they meet everybody.
Can I just say that I absolutely love Manon and Alid's relationship, and I feel like it's such an interesting dynamic that they have, because I feel like Manon has a soft spot for this, crippled girl that is stuck in this situation. And she, even when she gives her the choice to say, does your blood run blue or black? That is such a powerful scene. And Alid's like, it runs blue. It runs blue. It's blue or red. I can't remember. Blue or red. And she's like, it's blue. It's blue, Manon. And I'm like, yes, bitch, it is blue. Thank you. It is. It runs blue. I just love their dynamic. And when Alid has, that issue with her uncle taking her down into the belly of the beast, getting ready to send her off to be, desecrated. And Manon is running around looking for her. I'm just like, Manon, your heart is
Yeah.
It's soft. It's squishy. It's loving. You know it.
Yeah.
The stuff with Asterin, her second, that was like, when she like was like fighting back against Manon, like no,
Yes.
no. And then she finally like revealed everything that had happened to her, and she was like, your grandmother is awful. Like,
well, we'll get to that. But
yeah, let's wait for that part.
But with Asterin though, the whole stuff with like her demoting Asterin and like, oh my God, that gutted me. Like, oh man.
But I love how Asterin didn't let it stop her. She's like, you could do what you could do that. You could demote me again. I'm still going to speak my mind. I'm still going to tell you what you're doing is wrong. And I guess in those moments, I felt so much for Manon, because for the very same reason that you saw that tenderness in her with Alid, you also saw that tenderness in the previous book with her relationship with the Braxos, right? So I know deep down that she's good, but I feel like she was under so much pressure to do the right thing, and also to be consistent with their lineage of witches, that they don't have feelings and they kind of just go after what they need, and regardless of how it's going to impact others. But at the same time, even though I think she's still listening, she still hears it, she's still taking in, but she's like, I can't make any changes. I can't do anything about it, because if I do, people are going to be hurt. And I need to prevent, I need to prevent the 13 from getting hurt. And if I don't do this, we all are going to suffer the consequences of that.
Yeah, exactly like you said. Like, she is under pressure from so many different people, from her grandmother, who has not been in the picture for most of this book, but she's like writing letters to her. She's desperately trying to reach out to her. And then she has these meetings with Duke Parrington. And then she sees Caltaine there and she's like, what the fuck is going on? Like, and the Duke is just telling her to do these horrific things. And she, and then also to pick a coven for him. And she's like she's totally stuck between like a rock and a hard place.
And that's when Asterin loses her shit, right? When she picks like the yellow leg, she's like, how could you? The witchlings are the most important thing, sacred thing ever. And I think that's where her past like comes in, her PTSD. But I don't know if we're going to talk about this now, but I'm just like, I'm watching Manon. Like, are we going to talk about like that, where they're like that where they made that differentiation between those that have the yellow eyes like Manon versus the other clans that have a different color eyes. And so every time Manon comes into contact with one of these blog princes or whatever, he's like, get her away from me. And I have a feeling that her lineage and where she comes from and the coloring of her eyes makes her really special and unique for everything that's going to be set up in the future. You know what I mean?
Thank you for bringing that up, because with the first time that I read this book in this series, I don't think I really made the connection when the Valg was like freaking the fuck out about her and her eyes. I was like, wait, I think I just kind of skipped over that for some reason the first time. But yeah, that is so interesting. And then we did get some info about like the different covens and like the balance of like demon blood between.
I think what came out in this time is that the demons and the, what was it that came together? Oh, it's demon and fae, and that's what made the witches.
Yeah.
Right. And then depending on whether they're part of Iron Teeth or if they were part of the Krakens had more fae DNA or fae traits, and then the Iron Teeth had more vlog traits. And I think that they're trying to develop that more. You know what I mean? That's why they wanted to breed the Iron Teeth or the Yellow Legs, because they have more of the vlog traits. And if they breed that again with more of the demons, then they're going to be able to develop kings and more powerful beings, is what I took away this time. Same
here. Yeah, I found that so interesting. I definitely had to pay more attention this time around to that, because I was like, I know this is important. I know this is very important, It's just very interesting how that was introduced.
That all went over my head.
Yeah, oh, really? I was going to say the same thing. I just thought it was weird. Like, I was just like, okay, this is just one of those weird things that you're just kind of putting in. I never dawned on me that it could be something down the road, but I guess that's what Sarah does. Like, looking back at the books I have read, she does do this. So I'm just like, well, I feel like an idiot because I missed that, but that's all right.
I missed it too the first time.
Yeah. Let's also let's explain maybe who Alid is. So in case anyone missed that, because I don't really fully know. That's why I have Wiki up. So that's why I'm like, does someone pay attention to that. Isn't she's the daughter of someone from Terrasen, right?
Of Marion. Yeah, Marion was somebody that was very close to Aelin and her family.
Yes.
Family.
I think, wasn't she the housekeeper that
was.
like got Aelin out?
She was.
Yes.
Yeah, so
the
she's
one that was
the daughter of the housekeeper.
And that's why she tells Manon of the like lost princess of Terrasen who saved them all. And Manon's like, okay, whatever. And I do love, and again, we're not at this part yet, but there's so much fun at the end of this book, so we need to Google it. But when Manon like finds out about it, she's like, oh, I'll have to tell little Elide that she was right. Like she literally thinks that, like, she's correct. And I was just like, oh, you big softie. So,
but Jen, to your point, I do think Elide is going to be important because I remember, and you're going to have to remind me of names. So her uncle, what was his name? It was not Pennington. What was her? Vernon, right? Her uncle says that her blood is the blending of two different kinds of witch blood.
Yes.
As a result, that's why they want to take her, and especially now that magic is back, and breed her with the blog because they believe that she can bring about the most powerful sort of king or whatever. There's one like little line in there where he talks about like your blood. We don't know what's in your blood, and this is time for us to find out what we bring about.
Absolutely. Yeah. The thing with the lead too is that upon reread, they do discuss her quite a bit in Heir of Fire. And I mean, not a ton, but enough to where I made note of it. And I was like, oh yeah, that's totally Elide. Like, you know, because she was going into all that stuff about Marion and like her backstory and stuff. So that was also an interesting connection.
So how was she, like, was she an like adopted daughter of that person then? Because Terrasen just had a bunch of like witch children. Like that's what's confusing to me too. Like, was she an adopted daughter by that person in Terrasen? Like,
I don't think so. I think we just don't know anything about Marion. Like we don't, because it has to be.
Why was a witch a servant person to the fit? Like that's why I'm.
Okay.
Yeah.
Why
you're right.
There.
Yeah, you're right.
I'm confused too.
You know, that's why I feel like she was maybe someone who was taken in as like a, you know, maybe she was taken in because she was on the run and they was like, we'll have you in our house, like we'll keep you safe and whatever. So
we're definitely going to have to get more backstory about her. We definitely did not get enough in Queen of Shadows, for sure.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, I'm commenting on Stacy. Like, I'm not like doubting what her magic is. My point was, why was she in Terrasen? Because that's more what I'm asking, not so much that she is. It's why was she there before all happened? And
there's definitely more to the story that we have not learned yet with
Elide. No, we got a lot. Elide has her own little heroine's journey to go on, and limping her way to finding like
but the beginning part of that journey, go ahead.
Oh no, go ahead, sorry.
I was just going to say the beginning part of that journey is her meeting Manon. Like Manon had to give, like, to light that fire in her and say, like, does your blood run blue or black, like, or red? Which is it? Like, and once she said, I'm blue, I'm a witchling, I have witch blood. That gave her the courage and the strength of her conviction to be able to become who she's meant to be later on, or just at least start down that path.
Well, she was just beaten down, you know. And I think it's another thing too, like, when we get to see what like Kaltain will do, someone who we thought is completely under control, like if she's able to have like an impact, you know, like Elide can do it. If Manon believes she can do it, like she can do it.
Yeah. And I love Elide's little relationship with Abraxos. I love that Abraxos was the first to see it. Like Abraxos was like, leave her alone. She could come over here. You know,
dog that knows good people. Abraxos.
Yes, exactly.
People and the owners like, why are you sniffing around this person? Like, man, and it's like the dog knows. The dog
knows.
Am I the only one who pictures Abraxos as like toothless from How to Train Your Dragon?
No, I totally agree with you. 100%.
He's like a big dog. I do not picture a dragon or a wyvern or whatever. I'm like, that is toothless.
Absolutely.
Toothless, bounding around, sniffing the flowers. That's in my
Yes.
head. I can't get
Well,
it
and I
out.
was talking about Abraxos, and she's like, I'd really like to see some art where they actually make him look like his description, because he always gets drawn kind of like cutesy when people get part of him. Because and I was like, I know, but we don't want to see him at like he's the runt of the litter, and he's like he's cute, even though I know he's not.
Even though he has like iron teeth and spider silk wings and like
Yes.
Iron
tail.
spikes on his tail.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yes.
He's just a big lovable.
Yeah.
He is too.
And
right?
how weird do the witches actually sound, right? Because their iron teeth snap down over their regular teeth sometimes. Like how I just imagine
I
them
don't get that.
because
Yeah.
they'll just have regular teeth, and then when they get angry, they can like put them out, you know?
Or that checkered eyelid that like flips down when they start to fly, you know? And I'm just like, that's just
Yeah.
Anyway,
And their nails grow.
Mhm.
Yeah,
It's like
yeah.
Wolverine
yeah,
over
they
here.
can extend their nails. It's
Like
like
I pictured from X-Men, the chick that gets the adamantium in her hands, so she has the giant steel.
Oh.
That's what I'm picturing when they like their claws come out. I'm like, yes,
yeah.
yes.
I mean,
It's
either
awesome.
way, Sarah probably pictures them a lot creepier than we always make. Well, I mean, also, I don't think the witches are totally creepy because the men always want to bang them enough that they're
really,
willing to
really
die.
pretty, aren't they?
Like the men are literally willing to die to fuck them. So,
Yeah.
I mean,
They're
men,
obviously hot.
Yeah, they're obviously hot, right?
but anyway, it's like, all right, we should. Anything else about the? I mean, there's more at the events, but I think those are all the ones like that are like the little pieces. I guess.
Yeah, and
There was one thing I wanted to say
Oh, go for it.
about the relationship between Manon and Alid. I love how Sarah has, so she has Lysandra and Aelin, she has Alid and Manon. And if you compare their relationships, they're very similar, but they're completely different at the same time. Like their path and trajectory go the exact same way. They're enemies to friends. And it's just like, I love the fact that she gives it on both sides of the diameter. So we have the villain side of it and we have the heroine side of it, and it still is strong on both sides. I love seeing that. It's awesome.
Yeah, absolutely. One last thing I wanted to say about all of Morath, though, is that I adore, we don't get a ton of it in this book, but I adore just seeing the 13 together and working together and seeing more of the relationships between the 13 of them.
And they'll be more together now that it's like, because that's the thing, is that it's very clear that Astrid, she's talking to the other 12, you know, like, well, because they're slowly like, okay, what's going on? And the more that they see the evil that's happening, that's just so beyond, the more that they're willing to listen to Astrid too. So by the time they will finally confront her, they're like, yeah, we're all willing to be insubordinate. That's how big of a deal this is. And you are just ignoring it, you know? But I meant to mention this more at the beginning too, like when Astrid starts speaking up so early on and she's having to punish her. One of the things that like I really see in Manon is that because she doesn't know the full scope of what's going on, yes, she's trying to keep with what she's supposed to do and follow orders. But also, the more that she obeys this, the more she's able to find out the fuller picture. So it's like, there's a certain part of her that's able to be very mercenary about it, where she's like, well, if I have to give over a coven so I can find out what's going on, I'm going to do that. And it's horrible because we know what's happening to these witches that are giving over, but it also is like, that is the proof now when, you know, when we come across what's happened to them.
Right.
Exactly. You know, if she hadn't listened at all, she would be removed and the matron would have put someone else in there to do it. So it's like by her following along, she's able to find out more, you know. So
yeah.
Just to wrap up the Morath events, like, so my question for you guys, and I was thinking about this, is why did they pick Morath? Like, is Morath to be the place where they started their breeding program, if you will, and they have all of these vlog princes. So like, is it a portal? What is Morath? And what do we think about that in relation to the bigger picture?
I think it's because that's where that one guy was buried.
Yeah, he was trapped there.
Erewhon?
Yeah.
Erewhon.
Erewhon, is that how we say it?
Yeah, Erewhon.
What is this? Aelin said to Rowan, what does this mean? Like, what is this in like the old words? And he said it's Morath. So that's like, I think that's where the like evil king, shadow king, whatever his name is,
It was the perfect place. Yeah, that all
Yeah.
of that stuff together. Yeah, absolutely. That's a really good question though, because I do vaguely remember that one line about what does this mean in the old language, and then he said Morath, and I was like,
Where is
Dun, dun, dun.
I highlighted that part in my Kindle. I was like, yes.
yep.
Yeah.
I feel like this is gonna be a part.
Yeah.
where is this even on the map? I've never been able to find it.
In the
Morath,
top corner.
it's
in the
hard
top.
to find.
Yeah, it's in the very top right hand or left hand corner.
Yeah, it looks like there's an A in front of it, the very top.
Oh, it says Amaranth.
Yeah.
Oh, because it's a mountain or a keep. Like, why is
Jen, when you just said it says Amaranth, I was like, Amaranth? What? What?
Well, yeah, it looks like it's an A in front of it.
Morath is like at the bottom.
No, it's up here.
It's at the top over. No, it's at the top over here.
Oh no, it's not.
It's right here.
No, she's right. It's in the mountain range.
It's in
Yeah.
Adaron.
Oh, where?
It's right. It's right in the middle of the mountain.
Oh, by
Yeah.
Fenharrow. By
No,
Fenharrow.
there's literally something up here called. See, that one's called Amaranth.
Yes.
That's
Yeah.
Yeah.
Ah,
Morath
okay.
is like
It's not in
hidden.
the cold.
It's like-
It's not in the cold.
Yeah. It's in the frozen waste out there.
Yeah, it's like right kind of in the middle of everything, but it's like hidden by. Because that's the thing, like they need like the Wyverns to like get there easily.
Yes.
Too.
Ah, okay.
Plus, like as we're going through these books, since each book has another map in it, because I'm highlighting and taking all these notes. Every time we visit a new location, I highlight that bitch on the map so that I can go back, because I can never remember, because my brain just doesn't work geographically. So I can never remember where they're going or what they're doing, at different places and where,
this makes sense that it's here because that's how we're able to run into them so easily. If they were all the way the fuck over here, they weren't able to go there to like get Lysander. Like they were taking Lysander to take her there, right?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So,
wagon.
okay.
They met in a clearing in between them.
Yeah.
Okay.
And then there was the river. There was the bridge
Yeah.
over the river.
The Acanthus River is when that big thing happens.
Okay, what's the next things? We're almost done
Let's
now.
go back to Rift Hold.
Okay, what's next?
Rowan!
Daddy's home.
Love that.
Daddy's
Like,
Oh my
you
god!
your
I tear up
hair.
every time. Every time. The way she runs to him and then he just holds her.
Yeah.
Yep.
Gets me every time.
They're like, who is that? And Eddie's like, that's Rowan.
Yeah.
I'm like, hell yeah, it is
Rowan.
Oh, man.
But then, like, poor Adion, because his idol has taken his spot.
Yeah.
Very
I
sad.
don't feel too bad for him though, because I just love Rowan so much.
I know.
I didn't really care.
But I just mean it's sad because Adion literally thought he'd never see his queen again. And then he does. And then he finds out, but I'm not your number one because you gave it away.
Exactly.
Oh,
Yeah.
That's what's sad. I'm not sad that Rowan has the position. I'm sad that
Yeah.
also that Adion has to be like jealous of his because like he thought that he would like be with Aelin. Let's be real. Like they were the kind of cousins that they'd probably be together.
Well, they did sleep in the same bed when they were kids sometimes. He would crawl into her room. So
Yeah.
They were at least
Well,
like brother and sister, if nothing else. I mean, they were
Yeah.
very, very close. And I do feel for him because this is something that he literally says, like, I have known about this my whole life. This has been my life goal, to be your number one, to get that blood oath. And traditionally in Terrasen, there has only been one to have the blood oath. And I'm so glad that Aelin quickly addresses that and says, no, we don't have to go with tradition. If and when you're ready, I would love for you to take the blood oath as well.
But I think what also is a double sort of whammy for him is that not only did he lose it, but she lied to him about it. So we got to be real. Like, and she did it. Why she did it, right? Because she is like, wasn't the right time. How do you bring it up? But when he does find out, he's like, not only did you give it away, but then you lied to me about it. Like, why did you do that?
She wasn't expecting Rowan to show up right away. She thought she could have, like, she thought she didn't have to break his heart while he was still like couldn't walk yet. You know, like. She shouldn't have lied. Aelin hides and lies about things a lot. Like,
she sure does.
But I forgive her for that because he just had almost got his head cut off. And you know, she wasn't gonna say, "Yay, I saved you and I gave away your oath."
Right.
Like that.
Let's go home.
Right.
Like we healed before Rowan was gonna show up, and then then nobody can hide it because
But I sort of give Adian a pass. Like, have your temper tantrum, be upset about it. I understand. When you're done being upset, then come talk to me and we can like, whatever. And Rowan set that straight right away.
I love how quickly Aelin will get. She's like, if you break one thing in my house, I'll hurt you. Get out. Like,
such a bad baby.
I love that. She's just like, you're not going to break shit like a child. Get out. And he's like,
I like when he does it, that he's like, and he like stomps
looking around at everything.
The door hits you.
Well, Stacey, I agree that it has that, but in his head, like, it's more than that because they're cousins, but I don't think they're actually direct cousins anyway. It's kind of that like royal
type thing.
Yeah, like because it's clear
Rowan and Aelin are cousins.
When we have
distant cousins, they're very.
We talked about this in the air one, like. In his POV, like he being her number one, they're usually like would serve all your needs when they were number one because it's the one person you could trust with everything. You could let your guard down with your number one and feel safe. You don't have to worry about your lover stabbing you in the back if it was that. But I don't think that Aelin ever felt that way about him. But I think in the years that he wanted to rescue her, that he romanticized her and worshipped her. Like he had all of those things going and he loses all of that at once. Like the spot's gone. It's clear that her and Rowan have the hots for each other and he can barely fully walk and he's weak. So it's like all those things are at once. So he's allowed to be a little upset, but Rowan's home. And why is Rowan home? Let's talk about why Rowan's
perfect segue, Jen. Perfect.
I personally love this. I don't know what he's gonna do, but I'm super excited about Lorcan. I do not hate him. I like the bad ones. I do. I'm a fan of the bad guys. I'm just like, bring them on.
I did forget like how bad he was.
Yeah.
Because he does very much like almost kill a bunch of people. But changes his mind at the last minute. But he's pretty scary though. He's a pretty scary dude. I won't lie.
He's a formidable enemy to have.
He is. And the fact that even Rowan is like, I don't know if I could take him.
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
Because
Rowan, blow your roll.
Lorcan is older than Rowan.
He is.
Yeah, like I think Lorcan is like the oldest everyone will meet, I believe, because there will be more of the cadre that we see later on. But I believe he's the oldest. So
he is, yeah.
Yeah, and he gives us some information too. Well, I think Rowan might say it because we know who Adian's dad is.
Yeah.
Based on this, it comes out that it is Gavriel. And Lorcan says like, oh, well, I couldn't let his like son be killed. Does he say? He says that at one point.
Yeah, he does say that at one point.
But also his reasoning. This is the thing of like, so, okay. I don't know how many of you have read Cressley Cole, so pardon me for this reference. Yeah. But his reasoning very much reminds me of like Lothair reasoning.
I thought that too.
Where his like reasons for why he's able to like disobey his queen is to save his
queen.
I love that.
Very much reminds me of like a Lothair thing, even though Lothair is always out for his own self. Like the way he figures out how to use the ring, the like ring of power or whatever or whatever it's called, the wishing ring or whatever in his book, very much reminds me of Lorcan's like, I'm able to disobey her because I'm doing it to save her. So I'm able to
That is very interesting how he stole the ring. He stole Athrel's ring. Yeah. And now he's trying to find the word keys himself to destroy them. So that Maeve can't have them.
Yeah, because he's like, my queen's will, because they're like, the blood oath doesn't allow you. So he, like when Rowan's questioning him, he's like, no, I don't believe you. He's like, I am doing the will that of her. Like, she just doesn't know she needs it. I'm doing this to protect her,
Yeah.
So,
that's, I mean, it's clever though. It's clever though.
So something I did not, I remember reading this, but I had to look up Lorcan's character specifically in this book again, because I was like, oh my God, there was like a literal threat that he made. And it was, if you take me out, she's going to provide aid for Adarlan, right? Wasn't that his thing?
Yes. I believe it. Yes. So like, which enemy do you want? And like, be careful what you wish for type thing.
So then does So, okay, so then does she know that he's there then? Because didn't he have to sneak out?
I don't think she know. Like, I think he snuck over because
Yeah, I don't think she
he
knows.
makes it seem like he did not have any communication with Maeve.
And I feel like it's
do it, then he couldn't do it, even if he worked his logic around.
What I want to know is, how did he get away with taking that ring that meant so much to her? She knows its worth. Like, how did he get away with that?
Right.
My memory is that it gets revealed doesn't it get revealed in Kingdom of Ash? Like, I feel like when everything sort of comes to culmination, we sort of understand more of that then.
It might be Empire, because we get his POV in Empire.
But then it must be, because somewhere it's revealed of like how that all came out, like how we did it.
Oh, that makes sense. Yeah, because in Empire, all that shit starts to come together.
Yeah.
So,
we don't have his POV yet, so there's still stuff kept from him, but we'll have it later on.
Yes. But it's just, he is such an interesting element to throw into this whole situation. And I found that this time around upon reread, probably just because I know his general character arc, the second he came on page, I was like, I love you.
Like I said, what a prick he is.
I loved him, and I don't know his character arc. I was just like, you're gonna be a fave. I'm not gonna lie, you're gonna be a favorite.
I automatically love him. Yeah.
I mean, I have to, like, secretly, like, this sounds probably shitty of me, but secretly, like, I really like the fact that he challenges Aelin, and he's like, I'm not afraid of you, because like everybody cowers to her and kind of acquiesces to her. So I feel like when somebody can stand toe to toe with her and just be like, whatever. Well, it's terrible, but I do.
I mean, Rowan was like that in Heir of Fire.
Definitely,
He has lots.
Oh yeah.
So, like, Lorcan, I mean, think of it, like, he's the like second oldest Fae we know, like, besides Maeve. So he's like, why is he? And he sees his queen as like totally gonna be the winner of whatever this is gonna be, you know, because she's, you know, who she is, and he's just.
Are you talking about Jenn? Are you talking about Maeve?
Yeah.
Because I, to your point, I look at Maeve like, because didn't they say somewhere that when the vlog came the first time around, it was Gavin and Maeve were the ones who figured out how to use the word keys to defeat them.
Yeah.
So like, she's powerful in her own right. And so she's like a formidable opponent. So like, here comes this like 19-year-old girl that's like coming along with this ragtag team of court that's like going to challenge Maeve, like, you know, and Lorcan. Like, it's just crazy to see that, but I love it.
Well, that's part of what I looked up in the wiki, because Maeve was working with all of them, and then she wanted them for herself, and they were like, no, you can't. And so then they her. And you know, just all like, Maeve is very quick to turn on other people, right? She did it to her sisters. She's willing to do it to whoever, you know. It's interesting. But
Maeve reminds me of. Go ahead.
Sorry, when you're that powerful, it just kind of lends yourself to be able to do it. And I think Maeve's had thousands of years being the head bitch in charge. So she's not feeling threatened by this little 19-year-old little blonde thing, you know.
There's so much Maeve shit that I just
I'm saying all these things, and Jen's like, you don't know yet. You don't know.
But going back to Lorcan though, for a second, I love the dynamic between like Lorcan, Rowan, Aelin, both when they all hate each other, and then when he begrudgingly becomes a sort of ally. You know, like towards, like, it's just a very interesting dynamic.
We'll have to come back around to that.
Yeah,
she's back.
Yeah, sorry. I had to take a quick bathroom break, and then I got stuck in the waiting room, and I couldn't figure out how to turn my camera back on.
I had to have my husband come and open the windows because I was losing my light here. So I was like, come over here and open the window.
You know, and part of me wonders, you know, there has to be a long-term respect between Lorcan and Rowan. So part of me was like, is he helping begrudgingly, or much like when Aelin fought Manon, she's like, you can't let that kind of power die. Like, I'm just not, like, you know, she deserves to live. So I wonder if it's similar with Lorcan and Rowan, that they have this long-term companionship and friendship and respect. And so, you know, when push comes to shove, he's like, I may dislike your choices, but I'm not going to let you die either, because you know what I mean? Like, you're old. We've been together for all
That's
this
a complicated relationship.
Very,
Yeah.
They do have that. I mean, they were brothers for
hundreds of years. Like,
he's pissed that he forsook that for this child. That's why he's pissed about it. You know, like,
he doesn't get it.
That thing of like, he's like, you're a betrayer, you're a traitor. You're a traitor. And he's like, you know, no, I just have a new queen now. So anyway, good stuff.
So, casually a new queen.
Right?
Mm-hmm. So
Young
did anybody have anything else to say about Lorcan's threat? Okay.
No.
So
yes. So good.
Thank God.
Oh my God, y'all. The scene I always put my book down and I have to just cackle for like 5 minutes when he really thought he put that ring on Aelin's finger, and he really thought he did something.
I freaked out. I was like, oh my God. No, like, what is happening?
I know. For literally 10 seconds, you think like, oh my God, what is this book?
Yeah. And then it gets to Rowan's POV and you're like, oh, okay.
Yeah.
So this whole book, when I was reading it, I flew through Crown of Midnight, and I kind of regret doing that. So I actually like put this book down. I would only read sections at a time. And my timer went off like right at that moment. I'm like, no. So I went a whole 24 hours thinking that shit was real.
You stop? Wow.
Why did you stop? You tortured yourself.
Because I like teasing myself because I'm a sadist, goddamn. Because I don't know, I'm insane. I'm crazy. It's fine. But it was, and then when I found out, I was like, oh, well, I just went this whole day being pissed off for no reason.
Can I just say, though, upon reread, I really thought about, like, Aelin is so fucking lucky that Arobynn didn't try anything else when he thought he was controlling her.
Oh, I know.
Oh,
yeah.
Like, what?
I mean, if this wasn't still kind of YA, like, what? Yeah.
That's totally what happened.
Like, if this was more adult than it kind of is, like, she would have had to do a lot more.
Absolutely.
Yeah. And it may be, I mean, obviously it is YA, but also it may be that he thought that he would just have all this time in the world to just, you know, take his time doing whatever he wanted to do to her.
Waiting
for her.
Like,
waiting for her, yeah.
Like, he couldn't just.
Yeah. It was a calculated risk.
Going to rip his head off, so.
Yeah, absolutely a calculated risk. And I do kind of think that he kind of wanted to get her out of the house get them out of the house as quickly as possible. Like, I kind of feel like there was maybe some reasoning behind him just being like, go home and then come or something. He was like, then come back, or I can't remember what he tells her.
Yeah. Well, and she's also giving him, isn't this like his last chance too? Because she isn't sure if he'll do it or not. Yeah. Because he did help them. Like, he did help them. And so she's almost like sad. Because it does kind of go back to that, like, he was father, brother, for her. And, you know, she knew that he was a part of the betrayal, certain aspects, but she was still willing to give him a chance, you know?
Oh, yeah, that was kind of sad when that part comes up, she was like, I really was trying to give him.
Yeah, like, but also now it's like, now Lysandra gets to have the revenge that she deserves.
I loved that she let her do it. That was
exactly.
Yes. If anybody else needed that, it was Lysandra.
Yeah.
That's like the beginning of their beautiful friendship. She's like, you know what? I'm going to put aside my desire for vengeance and I'm going to give this gift to you. Slaughter him nicely. Good luck. I love that.
I
love that.
And
Merry Christmas. Yeah.
She offers to give a lot of people the option to kill people.
Yeah.
Like her, that's the way she shows her love. She's like, I know you got this beef with this person. Like, here he is on a silver platter. Go ahead. I love you.
I do. My only thing is that while it wasn't a quick death and, like, you know, he was choking on his own blood, the only thing that I wish could have happened was that there could have been an actual confrontation where they could have told him exactly what they thought of him and then murdered the shit out of him.
So
you know?
he knew it was
he's bleeding out. While he's like bleeding out, Lysandra will just be like, how does it feel? You thought you could sleep peacefully next to me and not watch your back. because the whore is just sleeping in bed with you.
Mhm.
And I'm the one who took you down. Like, it's so
Mhm.
satisfying. And also because, like, he didn't leave anything to anyone else, you know?
Oh,
like,
yeah.
at all. Like, he was just going to, like, fuck them all. I mean, he was going to give her the amulet. Interesting choice. Like, I think that that's an interesting choice, but still wasn't going
That's
to
it.
give them anything or, you know, pay off her debt. So yeah.
But Aelin had
And I
that
love
covered.
how Sandra said to Aelin, like, that he was at the dinner table, like he was throwing all these underhanded shots at Aelin, and she just was so into Rowan, and they had their thing going, that she was so shielded from that it didn't even impact her. And plus, I think the decision was already made that he was going to be taken out. So it was like, no matter what you say or what you do, you can't impact me anymore. You had your chance and you blew it, you know?
Absolutely. And then part of that downfall being how she was scheming and she changed that will, and every, you know, oh my God, that was so satisfying. That whole scene of like the reading of
When
the
she
will.
says to Rowan's like, did you have to take it on? She's like, how are we supposed to fund this? I'm not going to tax my people to do this.
Yeah.
He's going to pay for it. He's going to pay for it off of all of the bodies that we've stacked up for him. Like, he's going to pay for this war. And I love it.
That was a baller king move right there.
Oh, he walks into the keep and just kicks all those motherfuckers out of it.
Like,
you're
gone. Don't like you.
Shit and go. Goodbye.
And makes them buy the house back.
Yes.
Yep.
And double.
Yeah, you can have that
Fire.
That's some BDE right fucking there.
Oh my God.
Yes.
So satisfying.
Yes.
Mm.
That is a great thing about, like, I mean, Aelin, she'll swing her dick if she needs to, but like Selena leads dick first, so
Yeah.
She is the dick. What are you talking about? She is the
Yeah.
dick. She is.
That was
Good gravy.
epic. The one thing I wish I would have seen, I just, maybe this is just because of the relationship that they had. I mean, he primarily raised her. So you do have this really weird, twisted relationship. When she walks in the room by herself, I kind of wish Sarah would have written just like this one moment for her, because at one point in time, this was like her father figure. She did give a shit about him at some point in time.
yeah.
So I kind of wish that would have been just acknowledged, because I feel like the Aelin that we're learning about and seeing would have done that. And I didn't see that one moment. It was just like, no, I didn't fucking do this. Why is there blood footprints on the floor? Your dad just kind of like, I was kind of hoping for like, not something big, just like a bittersweet moment. Like, yeah, you're dead.
I don't know. After
Moved on, yeah.
I think that was the end of that. I think there was the moment that happened before. Like, I think that happens before he chooses to put the ring on, because he has all the time to choose different, and that's the moment. Like, it's kind of that same thing, like I said, where she gives Dorian a minute. The same thing's happening with this. Like, she gives Urban a minute. Like, he had a chance, and it didn't happen. So it's like, all right, the plan's going forward, and without you, bye. So. Yeah. Also, she did, like, I know he was father figure, but like, she did have a dad. Like, Aelin had a dad, and he was a fucking great dad. So he was a mentor, but like, he loses all of it when he puts a ring on and wants to fuck her. It's very uncomfortable. Like, no. So yeah, that's true, Ben. Yep. Good stuff. All right.
So we're jumping. I think we're jumping just a little bit, but the next big event would be Astron's story and Manon's turn.
Because that like all just folds into a lot.
It's a domino effect. So
this is. So one thing though, like, I thought the downfall of the matron was in this one, so I was a little sad that hasn't happened yet. Like, that's not really a spoiler. Like, I was like, oh, I was so looking forward to that, but we're not quite there yet. But I just I don't know, just like every little thing that Manon is seeing, the fact that she's still like ready to give another coven before Astron tells her this, whether it's because, again, she's still on a fact-finding mission about this or not, like, you now know what's happening to them, you know, like, you know what's going on. And so hearing Astron's story now and like knowing just how like devastated she's been by this, and the fact that this person that she loves, like her wing sister, whatever it's called, that she'd been through this and that her grandmother put her through it, is like, do I want to be a witch this way if this is what it looks like, you know?
Yeah.
And still be bloodthirsty and still kill the men we fuck, but what are we doing to our fellow witches? Like, that's the thing that's really disturbing for her, is that like witchlings are supposed to be the most precious thing, and like just because her witchling had like died or was stillborn, so you try to like punish her for this, like, I don't know. So it was a lot. Like, it was.
And then how she fell in love with that man, and the
Oh
man
my gosh,
waited
yeah.
for her until he died.
Oh, I know.
Like, oh my god.
Yeah.
Sure.
I feel like you get a little. Oh,
Don't fall in love with a human. That's a
Don't fall in love with a human.
Working learns that to Rowan too. Sorry, my side tangent, but like that story with Astrid is a reminder of what falling in love with a human is like.
Oh,
not
right.
Yeah.
But later on, when Lorcan's like, literally, you're falling after this woman. She's gonna die in 50, 60 years, and then what? Anyway, sorry. Go ahead, Jill. But I just.
The one thing that I wanted to talk about is I feel like we get, you know, a little bit of the matron's ruthlessness throughout the entirety of our time that we spend with Manon, right? But we don't really see the extent of it until we get to this point where Astrid is telling us this. And I feel like every single time I read this scene, no matter how many times I read it, it is just so painful and powerful, because not only does it knock my socks off, it knocked Manon down to her damn knees.
Yes.
Because she had no idea, because Astrid said that when Manon had finally come back from, you know, she was on a mission hunting Krakens, you know, she was celebrating, and Astrid was just like, I went through this horrible thing, and the only person that's going to know about it is me and this other Soren, I think her name is. I don't know how to pronounce her name. That's the only other person that's going to know, and we're just going to let it go. And then
Yeah.
the scars on her body, the wounds that are just, it's just horrifying.
Yeah,
And-
I forgot about the whole like unclean.
Yeah.
What?
Yeah.
You
That
didn't
was
do
hard.
enough to her? Like, what? Oh my god.
Yeah.
Horrifying.
That was a hard one to read. That scene was kind of brutal. That hurt a lot.
I literally didn't remember this at all. I totally blocked this out. I did not remember this happening at all. So this was like very powerful to me. And I was just like, that like bitch needs to die like immediately. Like, that's all I could think is I was like, immediate death for this person.
Immediate.
Like immediate end, because it's just so cruel. It's so cruel.
Like you said, Jen, it's like, which is like why it sucks that she doesn't get a downfall in this book.
I know, because I forgot, because I was like, oh yeah, this is the thing that makes her go do that thing. And I'm like, I mean, it still will lead to a thing, but I thought it happened here. But that's okay.
Right.
We had enough other events in this one. It's okay. I can wait for my vengeance. It's
That scene I was really excited about, because that's one of the things I love about villains, is that they have this, almost all villains in long-standing series have this one moment where it's like, do I stay the course that I'm used to, or do I go into unknown territory and still hold all my normal attributes because I'm a badass and no one's gonna expect good from me, so I can inadvertently do anything I want and still remain. I don't think I'm saying this right, but it's this moment where they have this choice, and villains for me always tend to, when they choose good, it's still at their own discretion, so they still hold on to that villainy that made us fall in love with them in the first place. And I feel like this moment was Manon's. It's like, okay, we're gonna flip a leaf here, but I'm still gonna be the bad bitch. Don't fuck with me. Like,
Yeah, she's still doing things her way.
So, question though, is Astrid's story before they run into?
It's after.
It's after.
Okay.
Yeah, those were the two events that I was like, I couldn't quite remember.
No, that's okay. They go together, but there's
It's right after all of that happens.
Okay.
Because Astrid's the one screaming for her.
right, because she just because it's once she finds this about Astrid, she decides to pay her life debt.
Oh, okay.
She's like, I'm gonna do this. So But we should talk about that scene.
So
Oh
then-
yes, okay. This was perfect then. Okay. This is the shit. I love when the Avengers assemble. It's
Just
fantastic.
an applause
So
because that
let's
moment.
talk about so we have sweet little Evangeline shows up at the doorstep. You know, they've been going to be released already. I think she'd already paid off her like debt.
Yes,
Gonna
she
be okay.
did.
Yeah.
She
Yes.
paid it off. Lysandra and Evangeline were gonna be like, go have their life. And there was a beautiful moment with like where she's like, you did this for me. Oh my god, it was so beautiful. I cried. I was on the airplane. Definitely was crying.
Mm-hmm.
That happened. And then a little Evangeline is showing up and she's like, they took her. Oh my god. And we're no hesitation at all.
No.
Aylin's like, we're getting her. Let's go right now. We're going.
Yeah.
Boys.
Yeah.
She
We're
is her
formula plan
court.
on the way.
She is a part
We're
of her
doing this.
court.
She is.
Yeah.
Yeah. We just wanted her, out of the way because, well, from what we know right now, like she's one of our weaker people.
Simple.
Well, that's what it is.
Yes.
It is.
That's right on point.
The nuns even are Loki, who's reluctant they're being drawn along with it. Like, that's what's happening. That's what's
I
happening.
am gonna see that now in every single installment. It's gonna see your pictures, Loki. Yes.
That's what's happening. So we have our two bad bitches going at it, and they're like tearing each other apart. Rowan gets hurt,
Yes.
and so Aylin's like, "I'm gonna kill you," but then Astrid screaming for her, so she's like, "I guess you can live." And now Manon's like, "Fuck you, bitch! Now I owe you." No,
Yeah.
I love.
How about another cinematic scene?
Oh,
I can
absolutely.
vividly see the whole temple scene, and they're running across the bridges and fighting each other, and like, oh my god, it is so
Yeah.
lovely.
And then Dorian gets a look at Manon
Yeah.
and now starts chanting Manon's name in his head.
Oh my
Yep.
God.
That's the only thing he can remember. He's like, Manon. And I'm like,
He
yes,
hasn't known anyone.
Manon.
Like whenever he'll just say like, there's pain thinking of this person. Like he's not able to fully like form anyone's name before Manon's, because Manon makes the demon look away. Manon makes the Vlag prince have to like get away. And so Dorian's able to come forward. So I really love that moment because she's able to see that. And then because she realizes that Kaltain is making that prince do the same thing.
Mm-hmm.
The same thing that's happening in Dorian's eyes happen in Kaltain. So anyway, I'll let other people's thoughts come forward.
That's
But
why she was a 13 because she's the brains of that operation.
and
She
this
knows.
is such a pivotal moment because Kael is on board to kill Dorian now.
Yep.
And if this doesn't happen,
Oh,
Manon doesn't have a reason to tell them. So like Kael now has fully seen that he believes Dorian's completely gone. And so we don't have this interaction. If Aelin doesn't spare Manon, then Manon doesn't have a reason later on to tell them. And maybe we don't get Dorian. And we fucking need Dorian, okay? We need him. Not just because we love him, but we need him. Anyway, sorry, that was my play-by-play. I love this part so much. I was like, this was
that rescue scene was awesome. It was on point. Like I totally saw the whole thing going down.
Yes.
The subversiveness, everything. I'm just like, man, this. And then you see the weapon in like its mini form. I'm like, what? Did not see that weapon coming. I was like,
yeah.
Your shit here, guys. Oh crap. So,
I forgot all about like the mirror tower
Yeah.
thing. Yeah.
Fire.
Yep.
Mm-hmm.
I was like, man, it had to be mirrors. It had to be fucking mirrors.
Yeah. But also, hello, Princeling.
Mm.
Hello, Witchling.
Favorite line. One of my favorite lines. I'm like,
So
hello, Witchling.
good.
Hello, Princeling. Oh, delicious.
I scream
love
every
it so
time.
much.
I love it so much.
Oh my god, so good. And it's just like, man,
I
I
love
could just go on about this scene.
I love like in the other ones we get like when we have Dorian's POV later on, he'll think of Manon and the demon will be like, stop thinking about her. Be like, I'm not thinking about her. I'm not thinking about her. And then he's like, Manon. and he's like chanting her name over and over. I love it. It makes me
God.
yeah, Lysandra gets rescued, gets reunited with them.
And Rowan's close call, and like, oh God, like all that. Oh my God, there's so many like close calls where things like almost go bad. Like,
and we get to meet Astron's family then and find out a few more like hints about, because that's where we go next, is for the we go to Astron's family.
Yeah, right.
Because they have healers in their family.
So you mean Nesrin?
Nesrin, I meant that, yes.
Yeah.
I was very confused.
I was like, Astron.
Did I miss a chapter?
Astron doesn't have a home. You knew who I meant.
I was like, wait, what?
So,
and then we get to see the dog again.
I know.
Yeah.
Y'all, I've said it before and I'll say it again. The only thing that Sarah promised would live till the end of the series was Fleetfoot. She was like, the world will be in ashes at my feet, but Fleetfoot will live. So
goodness.
Hold on to the love of the dog. I promise more people live than the dog, but that's what she promised. Like before Kingdom of Ash came out, she's like, Fleetfoot will be alive. That's what I promised.
That was her spoiler.
Yep, that was her spoiler. She was like, we were like, who's gonna die? And it was like, the dog will still be here. She was like, I promise.
So
But
next, unless if you had anything else, but I think this is a good segue into the payment of the life debt.
Yeah, let's keep going with it.
The writing on the wall. Oh.
Yes.
Literally.
So we make it back to Rifthold, right? And we're like getting ready to try to take out the tower. That's the plan.
Yes.
Or are there 2 towers left? There's 1 tower left or 2 towers left?
It's just the clock tower.
It's the clock
tower.
It's we're on different levels trying to take it down. That's what's happening. With this all the multiple locations. So she's like doing some scouting, and there's all these people being like, this is written in like this weird language all over the place, and it just says, "Oh shit!"
Witch killer. It's like witch killer.
Witch killer.
Yes,
he's still in there. Yeah.
Hold on it.
That gave me chills. Chills.
Witch killer. The human is still inside him.
Yeah.
So
he runs back to tell. And that's so difficult because Kale has already come to the conclusion that Dorian needs to die, and I'm like, run, girl, get back, tell everybody to go.
Yeah, they literally haul ass on Abraxos, and
she's so happy too. Like she didn't want to kill her friend, but she was like, I'm gonna do it. I'm doing it for him, and I'm doing it for all of us. Like we'll have to do it. If we can find a way to kill this prince, we can't wait for Dorian. We can't wait for Dorian.
Right.
But, it's a good thing we do, because who's the one person that Dorian will defy death for? Kale. He did. He didn't freak out when his girlfriend got her head chopped off, but when he threatened Kale, he used his magic. Okay.
Yep.
He threatened Kale. He's able to break.
Yeah, that was.
I'm just saying. Like there's a version of this where they are lovers. I've said it.
Oh
yes, absolutely.
Again, they're in love with each other. That's really what's happening. So
I have to look up that fan fiction because
there you go.
What I said. It must be worst. Anyway, sorry, I'm skipping ahead. But the life debt is paid. We now know he's alive. And so where's everybody? Let's set the scene. Where's everybody when we're gonna blow it up? Because we're in some different spots.
Yeah, there's a lot of. So we've got Rowan and Adian.
Yep.
Yeah, you're down in
the bowels. Yeah.
They have the like liquid. They have the stuff to start the
hellfire.
The fire, and then that's when they discover that the word hounds.
Yeah,
they're not dead. They're not dead.
Either gave them Rowan's scent, so Rowan's like, fucking bastard, right?
Oh my god.
Lorcan is a sneaky bastard, but he comes through.
Yes.
And
something still left after thousands of years. He's got this much left.
Yeah. We can build on that little bit of conscience you got.
Yep. It's enough.
And of course, Aelin is donning her Selena persona, bringing in Kale. I love that.
Yeah.
And she's like, I'm going to go in one more time. She's got him just, in tow. And that whole conversation, the scene where Aelin is talking to the king, pretty much trying to bolster up this whole I'm Selena and I've come with this captain of the guard who's going to jail, And the king's like, I don't buy your bullshit, Aelin.
I have the rings of your enemies.
Oh yeah.
Oh really? You have the rings of my
Look at
enemies.
him.
I don't know why I see that scene in my mind, like when she goes into the throne room and she goes in front of the king. Like I picture that, like the Game of Thrones, like throne room with the big throne and the dais, and like that's how I saw that whole thing. And like there, like presenting it, and he's like, "Nope, don't buy it."
Nope.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So.
And then when he goes, or should I call you Aelin?
I know.
Which is like,
Yeah, mind blow. Yeah.
Is in my stomach.
But
And then the bell tolls and nothing happens.
Nothing happens. Oh
Oh.
shit.
Yeah, nothing happened at first because they got overrun by those.
The word hound.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And of course, Rowan's freaking out because he's like, that damn bell is tolling, and I'm sitting here trying to kill these word hounds that my ex-brother just sent on my tail.
Right.
Oh gosh, it's so dramatic. That whole last
But what happens?
And then he feels the phantom pain in his side.
Rowan, when Rowan feels like,
and then we're all like, oh shit.
Yeah.
But that's like the beginning of like, we know that there is like an intense connection between them. But then once you see that they are like, they feel that, and he talks about this tearing and like breaking of like this connection that he's feeling. He's like, I gotta go. I gotta get out. And I'm blocked. And it's like, because the tower has come down or whatever. And that's when I'm like, there's much more to Rowan and then we know.
Then it comes down and all the shit gets real. All the power comes flooding back into everybody.
I feel like it was like and I love how they explain it. It's like a ripple, like a wave that went across, and when it hit you, you were like, "What the hell?" Like now you got to get that equilibrium back.
And it was explained from everybody's POV. I liked that too. Everybody, feels it happening, and we get to see that on page.
Even Alid was like, "Oh, that's what that was." Like, and she's locked down in, at Morath, locked in the tower, and she even felt like that and didn't know what it was until I think it was Manon that comes back, or somehow she figures it out. Somebody tells her, "Oh, it was Vernon told her that like what magic is released now," and that's when she's like, "Oh, that's what that ripple was."
Yep.
And Caltaine going, "Oh, magic's back.
Let's do this shit."
Well, it gives Lysandra her hero moment because now she jumps in.
Lysandra.
All their ass. Like literally, the guys are scared. Like they're like, they hear this horrible sound and they hear the screaming of the word hounds like slowly like stopping, like if it's all getting cut off.
Yeah,
and it just bursts in and just saves their ass. So great.
I think it's Rowan that's like, to the queen or something, and Lysandra's like, hell yeah, let's go.
Yes,
like, charge.
And
that was epic.
Aeon was gonna sacrifice himself.
Yeah.
And then Lysandra comes in and is like, "Nope, I got you, boo."
Yeah.
And I also like it when like I think it's Adian and Rowan are trapped because the towers come down. They've got all these word hounds on them. They're like, where the fuck is Lorcan? Of course he saved his ass and cut a path and he's gone. But then later you're like, oh no, he didn't. There's that little piece of conscience that you were talking about, Jen. It's still there. He did, because when I thought he left, I was like, damn you, Lorcan. And then later on you're like, all right. So you are complicated, right?
So then upstairs we have Dorian finally able to bust out and eviscerate the prince, and we find out a lot about his dad. Now, the first time I read this, I sobbed because I love a man who like was trying to do good, like right at the end. Everything he'd been doing, like he may have been like not the nicest dude, but he also wasn't evil when all this happened. It was the Duke getting into shit he shouldn't get into.
Right.
And the Duke, was able to get another Vlog to be able to take over the king. And with the prince and with their Vlog princes, but we have too many princes, so I can't say that. With the Vlog who's in the Duke and the Vlog and the king, they're able to, control this, and they're able to block magic from everyone else so that they're able to, do their dirty deeds without anyone able to stop them. But we find out that it's his fault that Aelin's family died, but also he wanted her help. So he heard of the fire heart.
He wanted her to burn it out of him.
So he was trying to egg her into it, but all he did was show the vlog in him who the threat was. So it was his fault, but also he was desperate for help and help for his son. He wanted help for his son.
When he said
He knew his son would be in danger. He knew his son would be in danger once his if his magic was known. So
when he said, "Are you here to save me, Aelin?" I was like, "What? Oh my gosh!"
It's so sad. Like, but he held on.
Go ahead.
He held on too. Like, he held on for however many years in there, biding his time, you know, and there are certain things he was able to hide from the vlog at different times, you know, like he was able to keep things hidden. So he really is one of those that I'm not saying like he was good, but he also is still a victim of all of this because he was just a young dude and he got sucked into this, you know, they were young people exploring and he got sucked into something way above it.
Well, and I have a task with Anne Parrington, so I wanted to like go back to Caltaine and like bringing down Morath, and then we can talk more about the King and Parrington.
Okay.
Because holy shit, Caltaine.
That was
my girl.
What? Mind blown on that scene.
So,
I loved
ultimate badassery.
Yeah.
Yes.
And redemption arc.
We have.
Am I the only one who didn't remember that she disguised herself as Elide and went into that room to be nailed?
I
forgot
restrained.
I
completely forgot. And so when we were talking about Caltaine, I was like, yeah, she's a badass, but you know, she was kind of an asshole. And then when I was reading this scene, I was just like, how could I have forgotten this? Like, this is so much more of a redemption than I had remembered. Apparently, I don't know how to read.
When Minot comes up and she's like, "How long have you been pretending that like whatever?" I was like, "Minot, you are sharp," you know.
She devoured the demon inside of her. She devoured it.
Yeah.
Like, what?
That's what I mean. Where like now she knew like what the different look was. After seeing it in Dorian, she was like, "Oh my god!" Because Caltaine, there was a lot of the things that she did for them, but she did it because she was biding her time. Like she knew that her powers weren't strong while the towers were still up. So even though mentally she was able to like hold on, it isn't until like the towers come down that she can now use what she has.
But take a minute and think about that. You have Caltaine, you have the King of Adarlan, and you have Dorian. Think about how powerful internally their will has to be to hold off those demons that usually when the demons take over, you're done, you're gone, and you're not coming back. And so the fact that they were able to, and especially the King of Adarlan, that he was able to hold on for that long and still have like his wit about him to try to ensure that he saved his son. He's not a weak character in any stretch of the imagination, and nor was Caltaine, even though her body was physically battered as a result of everything, she still had tremendous strength within her to be able to get that revenge and help out and do what she needed to do, you know?
Yeah.
I also
her power, her immense power to be able to do, and I have some things to say about it, but I'm not going to.
Well, and part of that power is literally in her arm. Like literally inside of her. Yeah. It's insane.
She cuts that thing out.
There was also that everybody, when the towers first came down, they all had an extra burst of their power too, which they're paying for, as we find out. Like, they're literally in comas forever. Like, they're getting all of it back at once, and so they're, you know, either like, you know, they who weren't fully able to use their powers before, so you don't know what your things are. They also have gotten like hydro juiced up on this, juiced up, and then it's like taken from them. So that's a thing too, where like Caltaine's never meaning to live long, so she really is able to, because you know when she goes for that final thing, like she's already given that over, so that it's in, you know, she's like, get this to. She gives it to Manon, and Manon gives it to Elide. Is that what happens?
Yeah. She gives it to Elide.
Because Elide can go to Terrasen.
She gives it to Elide to give to Selena Sardathian, the girl who gave her the cloak.
Yeah, that's right.
That's right.
Yeah.
And I said that, like, I know that it seemed her being kind just in Crown of Midnight, but it's like it was more than that, because even when she was a vapid, like, young woman before, she was like always being possessed, pretty much. She was always being groomed for this, always being used for this, because they knew she had power in her line. So literally the things she does to Selena when she is, she's a spoiled brat before that, but she's always been groomed for this to happen. So she's really a tragic character the whole way through.
Oh yeah.
This is never her being a bitchy teen. Like, she never had a chance. She never had a chance. But
no.
And what they did to her, I think that was a similar plan for Elite. So if that would have been allowed, if Vernon would have been allowed to have his way and that would have continued, he would have done the same thing to Elite to see what was in her bloodline, to see what they could do.
Yeah, that's a good point.
Well, or if they'd worn out Caltain's body, because it's very clear that being inserted in her was draining her body. Like, she didn't have much left. Like they said, she was very like skeletal and malnourished. Like, I'm sure, you know, the being inside of her wasn't exactly caring for her human flesh very well either. So.
Yeah.
But she also doesn't give a shit if they can get out without her. So they got to go for a run. She's like, here you go. Good luck with it. Do that. And Manon's like, we got to get out because
all ass.
She's about to blow. One thing, just to connect it back to bringing down the towers and what's going on with Dorian and his dad and everything. Two characters that I wanted so much more for, but which I love their endings, but I wanted so much more Caltain content, and I wanted so much more King of Adarlan content. I just wanted them to survive just a smidgen longer, just to get a little bit more information. But yeah, that's one thing that I wish that we got more of in this book, was just a smidgen more of the people that died.
Well, and remember, Aelin even said, oh my God, we have more questions, but Dorian like could not control himself.
Yeah.
He just brought it all down. Like, so
Dorian says, F this, we're done.
Shit.
He was absolutely done. And I can completely understand that. I mean, I can completely understand it, but still, I just wanted a smidgen, you know, just a little bit more information.
Definitely something we're going to see Dorian struggle with later, because, you know, what would his father have been like if he could have had his dad? Because, you know, literally he never had his dad like indwelt. You know what I mean? Like, he always had this. So it's like, he's very pissed. He's like, I don't know if I believe you. And I'm like, you never got to know the human man that was your dad. Like, you only know this man who's held on all this time. Like, he's actually a hero. He's a hero. And we're just like, I'm too pissed about all this. So I have to like he's a hero for the things he's been able to set in motion. It's very tragic that he's the reason that Aelin's parents died, but who's to say that wouldn't happen anyway? Because eventually those vows, like, they know who the threat was. So, you know, it may have happened sooner than it would have, but like they were going to go after that eventually, because that's the only thing that could stand against them. Go ahead.
I have a question.
Yeah.
So is Parrington being possessed by that evil guy?
Erewhon.
Yeah.
So I think what he said is the king and Duke Parrington went into Morath, and it was under false pretenses, and that's when he pretty much possessed the king with whatever Vlog prince was in him at the time, and that Parrington really was Erewhon. But we don't know how what I didn't understand is how Erewhon got out. Who got Erewhon out to put him in?
Parrington got Erewhon out because Parrington had the key.
Yeah, he discovered
it. He had the key. He got Erewhon out. Erewhon just immediately took over Parrington, and then he had a minion take over the king.
Yeah.
Interesting, but I wonder how he came. So we don't know, and I think it'll be probably revealed at some point how Parrington got the key and who sent him, because like how does Maeve tie into that, right? Because how did Maeve lose the key, and how did it get to Parrington for him to release Erewhon is what I want to understand.
That's a mystery that we still don't know. We still don't.
What is his key? Because so we know that
it's a stone, essentially.
Okay.
Yeah.
So the stone in Caltain. They describe it as like a dark stone of some kind.
Yeah. Right.
I missed
that.
It's
not a word key?
It's the word key. It's a word key.
All right. That's what I thought it was. I was like, wait a minute. I thought they had the word key, and then Aelin has two of them now. So
Well,
But
Elite
Alina
has
just-
one right now.
She has the amulet of Orinth.
Yes.
Right?
There's a
And
key
then
in it.
she has, and she also has the word key, another word key. So she's
She
got
has
the
the
key,
one
right?
that was on the crown of because that was the one that the king had.
So the one on the crown is the one that Parrington had, actually. I looked this up last night because I was very confused. The one on Elena's crown, it was a stone that Parrington got a hold of.
Yeah.
Okay.
Then he sewed that into Caltaine. Now
Okay.
Elide has it. Elide has it, and she's taking it to Terrason.
Okay. And
So then Elena only has the amulet of
The
Orinth.
amulet. So
Yeah.
we don't know the third one yet.
Oh, okay. All right.
The third one is still a mystery because I looked this up. Like I had to read a lot of articles about these word keys last night. We still do not know what or where the third one is, as far as I'm aware.
As of this book, we don't know.
Yes.
Okay.
We know who doesn't have it, and that's Maeve.
And
She
Maeve.
doesn't have any.
Yeah, that's true.
I,
You know, the other
I
thing we
thought
haven't talked
Elaine had
about-
2 of them, so I was like, what?
Yeah.
No.
Yeah, I was
No.
confused. Okay, now I'm good.
Yeah.
Yeah, I was confused.
Yeah, because that's what Selena finds out. I think in like Crown of Midnight, she, when she finds out that the one, because she finds the crown and like she knows that someone got there first, and that's when the doorknob tells them that someone was snooping and they found it and took it. So that's what we found out about it, and then and then we find out that
king.
what?
We all just assumed it was the king, but it wasn't.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah. But it was Erewhon, like he's picked strategically different people who he wanted possessed so that he could have control. But
now, the one thing we haven't talked about that I'm curious if it, and I just have been tracking is all of the different swords of power, like Damaris and Goldrin and
right,
there's Windcleaver, I think is Manon.
Yeah.
And the only reason why I'm saying that this is relevant is because I remember if we're thinking about other series, like in ACOTAR, right? There are these swords of power. There's the cauldron, the cup. So I'm just saying, how does that all relate?
Hold on one second. Let's finish the book because then we'll talk about that because that's the connections for everything else. So are we at the end of the book now? Let's say where everyone is and what they're doing. So Elide is leaving. She's supposed to try to find the queen because Manon says she's alive. I've met her. Bring this to her.
Trying to get to Terrason.
And she says, you can't come with me. You have to go by yourself.
Yes.
Manon is going to be going back to basically confront the matron, right? That's what her plan is.
Yeah,
And-
she's got her own shit to do. And so, Elide's trying to get to Terrason.
Yeah. And which is this is where when you look at the map, it's very sad because she was as close as she was going to be to Aelin, and now Aelin's heading back home, and now Elide, her little self, is even further away from her. But the queen and her court are making it to Terrason.
Yeah. And I love how Manon flies on Abraxos out to see Dorian and kind of make that connection where he sees like her in the distance and they sort of like it's like an acknowledgement, and then that's when he's like Manon, like that's the one thing that he remembers and stands out. Like for me, that was such a magical moment between them, and it's a foreshadowing of things to come for them.
Stacey, I think the Eye of Elena is just so that Elena can like be with you, like she can possess.
That's a different.
Yeah, that's not. Yeah, that's not a weird key. Like that's why, like the Eye of Elena is how Elena is able to like help. I think
or whatever.
Because you can possess it.
Yeah, I do get the Eye of Elena sometimes confused with the Amulet of Orinth. There are 2 different things, but I get confused.
The eye also didn't have to be a necklace. That's the thing. I think it's currently like a necklace.
Yes.
Like wasn't it on a sword at one point or something?
I believe you're right.
Like it wasn't always an amulet. So you're right, Stacey, that can be confusing, but it wasn't always. It was like on a sword. And
then Athrel's ring was also on a sword.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, they're like hidden in the pommel. Like that's what it is. Like they're like hidden things.
Yeah.
So we find stuff there. But so that's where everyone is. And Dorian's going with, right? Or did Dorian stay to
Dorian stay.
Right. Yeah. Elena's like, or Aelin's like, I'm in charge right now. The prince is
He's
That
only
was a badass
moment.
Rape or pillage or raid, I will kill you. That's it. Good.
If you whip a slave, if you keep slaves, if you do this, like she just laid it down. But I love it. It was also, it showed her heart when she said, I will turn it over to your king when he is ready. And when Dorian was like, I can't do this, she's like, you have to. And she's like, it's your court. And the first thing we have to do is turn this over to you. Cause she could have like taken it over and been like, too bad for you, Dorian. I'm keeping this.
Oh, whatever. She literally has a kingdom she has to go handle.
Yeah.
But if it were like somebody like, what's his name? Erewhon or Erebin, he would have like kept it. He would have kept it for himself and taken Terrasen and been like, I'm ruling the whole damn universe. You know what I mean?
Yeah. So we all forgot Kale and Nezrin are going for heal. Kale is now paralyzed from the waist down. What's his name? Not Adion.
Rowan.
Rowan was able to heal him from like the neck to the waist.
Yeah.
But
what's the place that it's called that he's going? It's called
Southern Continent.
Terra Sesame or something like that.
The Torah Chesme.
Torah Chesme. That's it. Yeah. Okay.
So that's why the next book and the next book take place overlapping times, everyone. So we won't see Kale again until like September. So yeah, he's gonna do that. Go do that. And then I didn't get an answer. So Dorian's going with her or Dorian stayed?
Dorian stayed.
But Lysandra, Adion, Evangeline, Adion, Rowan, Elena, or I don't want to call Elena, Aelin.
Going to Terrasen.
Yep.
Road trip.
And Rowan is fucking with Aelin the entire way of that trip.
Lordman, we don't know where he went. So okay, now we can go to what you went at almost 2 hours. Let's get into anything. So yes, the sword. So Taji, that's something I brought up all the way back, I think in like the first one when swords started showing up, because swords are something that are mentioned particularly in ACOTAR, but then even in Breath and Wind, we heard a couple swords get named off too. So it definitely would be good to track swords and who their like original owners are and stuff. That's something that I'm very foggy on. I should dig into the wiki to like know that, but I also haven't wanted to because there's stuff I forgot. So I don't want to get like respoiled, but there's certain ones because there's a one that's always called like the Sword of Truth that gets brought up.
I think that's Damaris because that was the Sword of Brandon. It's a very powerful moment because Aelin lets Chaol wield that sword. Yeah. It's a very beautiful moment because when they go in to one of like the fights, like it's when they've kind of made up, right? He said, you're right about Dorian, and like the next fight they have, she's given him that sword to use, which I believe is that one's her dad's sword? Whose was Damaris? Or was that Adion had Damaris, and then when Adion and Aelin come back together, he's like, this is your sword.
Yes. Because it was
like, no, it's rightfully yours, but then somehow she winds up with it anyway.
Yes.
Right?
Yeah. So but anyway, what were some
really quickly, I wonder, the reason I'm paying attention to it is because I wonder if these swords, as well as the 3 word keys, those are going to be the means and modes to kill the vlog kings or the vlog princes, like you're going to need those to be able to fight against them in some way.
Yep. You need some magical weapons. That's right. For sure.
Well, back in Air of Fire, when they were fighting that giant worm thing, he was scared of that sword that they found there. So I'm wondering if you're right on that. Because it faltered. I mean, it still fought, but it faltered for a while.
Right.
So I'm wondering if maybe you are onto something there.
Yeah.
No, weapons are always something good to keep an eye on because
I keep forgetting to keep track.
Also, when we get through these, I just need to like write it down. But because also like they'll be called other things too. That's why like I'm sorry, I'm jumping ahead for people who don't know, but in a different book, there's a thing where it's called "There was a sword that will get the truth out of people." Like it's like called that instead of like the sword of truth.
Yes.
So, like if you know like what the sword's original name is, and then like what its traits are, because a lot of times whoever was the wielder like gave it like it was the truth teller or it was the like widow maker. You know, it will have like this kind of name, and then when it's mentioned in another book, it might be called like something else. But we know that it's like that sword. So that's what I think is interesting and will maybe eventually help us figure out like which comes first is by knowing like what the swords are. So it could also go like I said, it could also go the other way too, because there's some things that get created in an Avatar book that we could also be looking for here to see. Are some things that get made.
Something I'm like confused about, I wanted to ask you guys, speaking of things that are called multiple things, there's also like gods that are called multiple names, because like I think Mala the Firebringer is also Deanna.
Huh.
Wasn't Deanna the Huntress one?
Yeah.
Yeah, she's the Huntress. Because she has the bow, she has the arrow, and she gives the arrow
all have,
to...
like, multiple names. It gets confusing.
Yeah.
The different lands call it weren't there some things like the witches called something else other than what the humans called something?
I think so.
Yeah.
You know, there's that too. So the Sword of Orinth. Okay, so I know what that is. But yeah, I don't know. This one, I'll be honest too, like, you know, because obviously I want to be looking for connections. This one in and of itself has so much happening. Yeah, this one has so much happening of itself. I honestly couldn't have the brain space to look for those.
No.
But I feel like it will be easier, as I've said, I think it'll be easier to compare other books to these rather than this to them. Because Sarah was writing these like first, mostly, you know, I mean, really complicated stuff, but it is like artifacts and things that I want to keep an eye out, specifically because we're going to be reading Mist and Fury next. And that's when we really start to read about the Fae history. You know, there's lots of lessons that will happen and there's lots of places that we go. So I think it will be interesting next month when we're at the end of that one, like if there are those things we can connect to this, because that's the book that came out after this one. So I'm very interested which, you know, Easter eggs will get put into that.
Well, and Jen, you brought up a good point, because what I realized upon rereading this is that for me, this book is more plot-based than Heir of Fire. Like, absolutely things happen in Heir of Fire, but Heir of Fire to me is more about like Aelin and Rowan's character developments, whereas this book, I can tell that SJM tries to insert character moments and like maybe growth and like funny moments and like things like that. But like there also is so much that needs to happen in this book that it is very much about the plot.
Oh yeah, this is the plot. This is the pinnacle book.
Right.
Absolutely.
It is people meeting each other and we're really setting up kind of like our like pillars of like what's this going to be. And also, I mean we could do this another 2 hours just to talk about like the character moments, because they're so excited to see each other at the beginning, but he's still like, oh, you can't touch me. Like we can't go to that because, you know, he already lost him. Like, you know,
I hate that scene.
When he freaks out.
I got so pissed. He was like, don't touch me. I was like,
but I love her because she's like, you know what? Well, since you're protecting me by staying in here, I'm lingerie, and he's like, "Are you fucking kidding me?"
He's like, I was so angry.
Like, you asked for metallic gold.
What's your favorite color?
Metallic gold.
Don't even think about it. Don't think about tearing it off because I borrowed it. Like,
that was another moment where she was like, "Don't you dare!"
You literally feel Sarah cockblocking herself. Like, like, not
this
yet.
Was Lady Blue Balls all over the place.
Mist and Fury was the next book, y'all. That's the book we have real on page 6. So then she was like, you know what? I already did it, and that one. Now we can do it.
So I think my absolute favorite Rowan moment in this book is when he takes the pitcher of water.
He just walks in and he's like,
rising off of him.
I don't think that you could dump it. I think could have dumped it about 2 feet south of there, but that's fine.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, man, that romance and that burn is so on point. I mean, it is just like, it is just enough to wet your palate, and it's not
Yes.
enough to be like, give me fucking
be
something here,
satisfying.
because you're killing me. Like, this
It's
is
okay.
a major nightmare. Like, legit.
Like, okay, but you skipped something, Rachel. You missed the best moment, because the best moment is when she gives him her neck. She's like, no one else can get this close to me. It's only you. And then he bites her fucking neck. Like, and she just keeps saying no one else could do this. And like the big, strong warrior that he is just like a puddle on top of her. It's
I love when she said that he's got 1 foot in the forest, like, because that's how I see Ron. He's like wild, like, you know, it's just I love that.
I love it so much.
Well, and then we brought up the moment with the almond oil. When he put some on too.
I know, I love that.
I love the dress scene when she comes out in the dress that he said he wanted to see her in. Oh, God.
Dress? You mean underwear?
The black dress with that dragon.
Yes. Yes.
That's hot. But I like when she put on her lingerie, and he's like, "But where's the bottom part?" She's
like, "Oh, you immortal being."
Are you fucking serious? And he has to sleep next to this. Oh,
so great. It's so
SJM has a thing with black dresses.
She does.
They are classic for a damn reason. So there you go.
She has a thing for tattooed men too. I really do.
Yeah, she does.
Well, don't we all? I mean, come on.
Yes.
I do have a thing, but yeah.
You know, ladies, I want to know, like, so when we're talking about, I think the thing that I'm curious about going into the next book is when I'm thinking about Maeve and like Maeve's whole deal. Like, I want to see how Maeve connects, or how SJM is going to connect the human queens in ACOTAR with Maeve. And like, 'cause I've always felt like Maeve has a bigger, more of a role, or I want to see how those human queens play into all of this. Like, it just seems like it's all like connected. So I guess when you guys were talking about how you're looking at the connections in this particular book, I was reading it more for how does this, you know, like, how do the witches, how do the fae, how do the demons, how do the vlog, how do the word keys open the portals, like these gates to these other worlds. Like, I was looking at those kind of connections and trying to sort that out in my mind, as opposed to looking at character connections, if that makes sense, you know?
Yeah, you bring up a good point, because we were remember we were talking about in one of the live shows about the maps of the 2 series. Notice how the human queens and Maeve are on the other continent, like the other piece of land, you know, like the mainland, I guess.
Terracin is? Wait, she's not in Terracin. Where's the place Maeve's at?
Wendland.
She's surrounded by water.
You. Jeez.
Wendland is like a big old continent. Like, it's part of like a big old.
I just remember that her being surrounded by water and making a point to say that she was surrounded by water because of the fire.
Oh, that was the door. Is it Dornell?
Is that
the city?
No, that's what she trained at, isn't it?
What's the city that Maeve is in? Is it Berez?
It's Dornell. I think it's Dornell is what she's the one that.
Yeah.
Aelin almost burns down.
About maps, I can't.
Yeah, there's no map of Wendland. It just says there's Wendland.
Yeah.
There's no, which is so frustrating.
I know.
But yeah.
Yeah. I mean, we'll see. I still think, because that's the thing is, like, even knowing what I know full picture, there's still very specific threads that we haven't got yet. We've only seen like the very like tips of the thread ready to unravel, right? At the point we're at, as far as we could go. So even like tracing that back to try to see, like, there's only so much we can see because she hasn't given us all the threads. We're not supposed to be able to figure it out. I'm just glad we're deep diving to see what we can see, because it's just so great. The more that we reread these, I'm just like, these are so like.
And I really think that Manat is going to be, because of her lineage and connection back to the vlog, kings or princes or whatever because of the eye color. They said the gold flecked with black. I think that's going to be really significant moving forward. So I sort of have this column of things that I'm like, pay attention to this, note this as it comes in to see if those, if those threads do weave through, or if I was just like, oh, well, that was a red herring and it doesn't mean anything.
There's some very specific scenes I'm thinking of in Mist and Fury that I know connect the most. So I'm very excited.
Oh, okay.
And hopefully it will make the slow burn of Mist and Fury go by a little faster because I'm gonna.
Are you telling me I got another Rowan Island situation in Mist and Fury coming up?
Oh my God, it's so scary.
But thank God it only goes. Thank God it's only one book that the slow burn happens in. I mean, we're not like 4 books into it, so you just got a little bit of it.
I might not be doing my timer on that one. I might be like, fuck it, I'm just gonna read straight through because I'm not going through the whole thing of not knowing what happens again.
You definitely should.
Always like whenever I read that, I'm like, okay, we got to be getting closer, and then I'll look at what chapter number it is, and I'm like, girl, you got 30 chapters to go. What are you talking about?
Yeah.
But again, the point is, I'm gonna try to pay a lot of attention to the the backstory that we get, because there's a lot there. Again, there's a very specific character that I'm thinking of that I'm excited to see pop up, a small character who pops up, because I think it will directly connect to one of our like villainous people in there, and then a lot of the history that we come across. So it's gonna be good. But like other things we're thinking of.
Well, and I was going to ask, like, I feel like this was weeks ago it was a month ago that y'all did the ACOTAR one. Mm-hmm. So was there anything from the ACOTAR live show that we should also mention here in terms of connections?
See, and I don't really, nothing really stood out to me. That's why Mist and Fury is where I think there's going to be more connections. I agree. Because we don't know enough about how magic in ACOTAR works yet, or where it came from for them. We just know that the High Lords are there. And I mean, and it makes sense because Feyre's literally just trying to she's just trying to live in that book, so she's not, Tamlin's not telling her any of that shit. She's not like looking into it. She can't read, so she's not doing the research herself either, she's just living in that one. Whereas in the next one, we actually are like doing stuff. So nothing really stuck out to me, but that's just me.
Although you mentioned a worm in Air of Fire.
I was just
a worm in ACOTAR, so I'm like,
well, you were saying, I said I didn't notice anything. You could point it out.
Yeah, I was just about to say, like,
me,
because Jackie brought up again that worm-like thing in Air of Fire, and I'm wondering if the worm in ACOTAR was a creature from another realm.
Yeah,
just like maybe the worm in Air of Fire is.
Okay, so this is my first time reading for Throne of Glass and the ACOTAR series, so I am simultaneously a virgin on both series. So when I read that worm, I already read about Air of Fire, right? Yeah, I had. So when I saw the worm, I'm like, oh, she used a worm again. Except it was the same like dimensions and the same kind of stylized. I'm like, maybe because they made a point to say that this thing was trapped in this ice in Air of Fire. Like it looked like it was trapped there. So I'm like, maybe this is like, I mean, it's not what Feyre did, but maybe later on that's what happens. Like that was. I mean, the evil witch's name. What was the evil fairy's name in ACOTAR?
I remember deja vu of saying creatures and weapons. So that's a creature, that's for sure.
So my thought was like maybe that was the punishment for the creature because Feyre was able to defeat it. It's like, no, you're stuck in a pond. Frozen. Kill it.
Also the prison is the big thing I want to look at in Mist and Fury too.
The what?
Oh,
There's a prison. There's a place that's so, and there's very interesting things in this prison. The giant fish, nice, yeah. I mean, I definitely agree. Those, I remember the worm now. I was talking about that for a while.
I get the same vibe of the prison with the bone carver that I do with Morath. Like, I feel like they're similar type places. They feel, and that's why I was like,
mountains and stuff.
Yeah, why did they pick Morath? Because, and it seems like this is like a place of power. Is it a portal? Is it a connection to the demon realm, to their world? And then when I go over to the bone carver and the prison and the mount, like I feel like that same energy.
It's a vibe.
Sort of translate, same vibe. So that's something I'm kind of watching. And
Okay, I'll look out for
it
that.
evolves.
Yeah, definitely.
Sweet.
I'm gonna have to definitely do that.
Is there anything anyone else? Giant fish. Love it. Yeah, I'm excited. I mean, obviously, everyone's excited for Mist and Fury, and the people who haven't read it yet
are in for a treat.
Yes.
Okay,
I do know the one thing I thought was hilarious.
Hold on.
I do have a question about Mist and Fury. So I know from kind of understanding that Court of Thorn and Roses was a Beauty and the Beast retelling. It's kind of commonly known that. I have heard that A Court of Mist and Fury is very similar to a Hades and Persephone retelling. Am I correct in that?
You're correct.
Yes.
Yes.
You said it in
Yes, exactly.
Yes.
Okay. Good.
I love Hades. He's my favorite. He's one of my favorites. So bring it on.
I mean, I wouldn't personally call like Reese like a Hades character though. Like that's like the thought of the like there's a time, specific times that you need to do something.
That's why I was wondering if that's the only connection or if there's more to like the connection without giving me any spoilers.
Maybe it's a vibe. I think there is like a vibe kind of feeling, like going on. But
I mean, Beauty and the Beast is ultimately a Hades and Persephone retelling, anyways.
Yeah.
I mean, it's pretty much how loose ACOTAR was with Beauty and the Beast. I mean, it was kind of like an overall kind of like hint, like kind of vibe for Beauty and the Beast. It's pretty much the same with that, like, the spring lady gets taken by, the bad guy to spend this amount of time at his house. That's kind of like the vibe.
Also, the rest of the world has a perception of you that may or may not be true. That's
yes.
Well, that's common with most Hades things. Is that every has a perception of him, and he's nothing like what the actual perception is, and that's why I like it, because I love how authors do retellings of that. So I loved ACOTAR. I thought she did fantastic as like a retelling with that. So I'm pretty sure that Hades and Persephone is gonna be in good hands. So
it'd be great.
So are we good on thoughts of Queen of Shadows?
I think so.
I think so. I think there was a lot of great discussion in this live show. A lot to talk about. Obviously, this was over 2 hours, and it needed to be.
Yeah.
So I'm just so pumped for when we do eventually come back to this world with Empire of Storms.
Yeah.
Because that's one of my top favorite books of this whole series. So very excited to revisit that.
I'm so ready for everyone to hate me after Empire of Storms.
Why?
Because you'll have to read Wings of Ruin after you read Empire.
Yes.
And then you'll have to read Tower of Dawn.
Before you
You're scaring the virgins, Jen. You're scaring the virgins here.
And then you'll have to read Frost and Starlight, which nobody's gonna fucking want to read. And then for Christmas, for Thanksgiving, you'll get Kingdom of Ash. So you're going to have to go from August to November. If you listen to me, you don't have to listen to me, but
I've actually
read a publication order that people had to wait so long to get Kingdom of Ash.
3 months is nothing. I waited years.
I'm actually doing this, like, I'm trying to follow it as like strict as possible. So I'm like, I can't read this book until I read this one. Like,
but I love that you are, because here's the thing that I love about it is I love when I don't have to wait and I can binge it. But there's also something beautiful about being able to anticipate a book, because like, I mean, there are books that I'm anticipating that I'm very excited for, but I don't like savor getting a new book quite the way I used to when I was waiting for like fantasy books, because I mean, I have literally 2,000 books I could read in my house. So I'll finish a book and be like, oh, I have to wait. Like, oh, I'm waiting for the next Outlander. I'm like, oh, I could be waiting a long time. But I'm like, I got so many books to read. It's okay. But when in a series and like, you're like, I can't start this for like a month. And then you get to start it. It's like so satisfying, like instant serotonin boost. So I'm really proud of you for doing it. You're awesome. I've been good so far, but I'm gonna be really close.
Too. Yeah.
I'm gonna be really close with Empire of Storms. Like, I'm gonna have to like.
I already know kind of what I'm reading. I gotta still do my TBR for next month. I still gotta do my wrap up and figure out what my mystery book is, my jar book. But I kind of have no idea what's going on, and I'm like, this month's gonna kick.
But also, when people finish like Mist and Fury, we forget about that one too. When people finish,
immediately want to go into the next one. Because that one ends on a really bad cliffhanger too.
Oh my god.
They all do. Oh, most of them do. Like,
Jackie, you're in for a world of pain. It's so good that you like to torture yourself.
It's all condensed. Like once we get to the very last one, once we get to Air and Breath, then we'll really be like, okay, when's the next book coming out?
yeah. Oh, absolutely.
Well, hopefully it'll be like right then.
No, that was the plan. That was my plan. I hope, I mean, I feel like by September we should know when the book's going, because whether it's going to come out or whether it's going to be like next fall, like we usually know a year ahead when it's.
Do we know the series she's going with?
And it's supposed to
She's
Crescent
doing
City.
Crescent
Well,
City.
and I heard it's Crescent
So
City.
it is Crescent City. She's not adding on to either one of these series.
That's what we think.
Yeah,
Okay.
we don't
Yeah.
know because she's
Whatever
a vault.
whatever she wants,
She's
but
Like
She's a vault.
really, Jackie, that's literally the point, is because where that House and Breath ends, we don't know what's next, because it could be
tight list.
multiple things
Oh dear God.
Yeah.
and also both.
And she's very tight-lipped about it, so she's good
Oh.
at keeping that suspense going. So we will have
Secrets
no
don't make
idea.
friends.
Oh no,
Carrie's not here, but I'm sure she'll watch it later. She hid a baby. She can hide this.
Yeah.
So,
She
There
got a
you
whole
go.
thing.
new baby, like on the day, like a week after she had her baby, she was like, "Hey, I had a baby," and we're like, "Bitch." Anyway,
Well, I think this is a really good place to end this live show. So thank you all once again for watching. I have linked all of my lovely co-hosts down in the description below. So be sure to follow them all if you aren't already. And definitely keep leaving comments if you're watching the replays, and I would love to respond to them and keep the discussion going. And I am so excited for Mist and Fury next month.
oh yes, the next live show is on Sam's channel. Sam reads a little, Sam reads a little. And it was on, sorry, I had my book open and then I closed it. It's on July 31st.
Yeah.
At same time. Let me see if I can find it. And yeah, we'll be talking about Mist and Fury. There, I found it. Yeah, July 31st at 7 p.m.
I'll be there for that one too.
Yeah.
Literally, it's like all of them.
All right.
All right. Bye.
Bye.
I love we
Good
all do the
evening.
same way.